We'll be okay. But the episode, in actual fact, Wendy and I watched it again in the week.
Oh yeah.
God, it's dated.
I didn't want to say, but yeah, it does have a very 80s feel.
38 years.
Yeah, I think that yeah, if you compare it to the original U.N.C.L.E. series, I think that perhaps is less dated. And there's something about 80s music and 80s fashion and things that seems to very much sort of stick out and say, look, we're made in the 80s sort of thing.
Well, the fashion is sticks out like a sore thumb. Everybody's jackets are too long and there's too much shoulders on them, and the hair is not great anymore. But that's what it is. The people who are your fans and that, they're used to it. They're used to seeing these older shows with all this what do they call it, retro.
Yeah.
So they're used to it. So it's not going to bother them, I hope.
Oh yeah. I think if you're a fan of these shows, we wouldn't know which decade you're living in, because you're sort of dipping out of all of them. So
yeah,
we're quite used to different periods, really.
Yeah, but it's definitely dated. I think Bionic Man stands up better than U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah,
and that's 30. That's got to be 37 years ago, I should think. Yeah, it must be.
So which one you say about Ray? Sorry.
The Return of the Bionic Man and Bionic Woman.
Yeah, that was 87, I think. So yeah.
Well, this was 83. This wasn't it?
83. This one, yeah.
83. Yeah. I haven't seen any of these actors since those days. That I never got to use them again. To tell a lie, I did use Carolyn Seymour on a Magnum in Hawaii.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, we worked together on that. Love for Sale.
Oh yeah.
Was the title of it. So I saw her a little later on, but I haven't seen any of the others. I've seen their work, obviously, over the years. Blimey, a lot of it. They're good artists.
Oh yeah, everyone's gone on to well, everyone's had a very good career before and after the show.
Yeah. But it's a shame Michael never got it on. Because where Brian Clements was a big part of my career in England, Michael Sloan was a big part of my career in America.
Yeah,
I did a heck of a lot with him. I mean, so many shows of his, which he wrote either produced or executive produced, or was the showrunner. I did so many over the years. You know, I think the second or third show I did when I came to America was a movie called The Sword of Justice, which he produced, and that with Glenn Larson. And he was the one who, Glenn Larson said, what about this English director, Ray Austin, who's just come over, he's in Hawaii at the moment shooting. And Michael said, yeah, go, I've seen his Avengers, I love it. So I got that very first job back down in Hollywood from Hawaii with Michael Sloan, through Michael Sloan. Yeah, he's been a good friend over the years. He's been down here and stayed with us once as well. Came down for a week or so.
Oh, lovely.
For the house.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. Is he going to watch today, or is he too ill to watch?
Well, I sent him the link just in case he feels well enough to. But either way, I'm going to send him the recording afterwards. So I'm sure he'll look forward to seeing that. And who knows, we might be able to get Michael as a guest for something in the future, maybe. So nice if we could. I'm just going to see if we've got everybody. Yeah. Definitely wait for one or two people, I think.
some of my family is supposed to be watching. If they're not, they're in trouble.
I've got Anthony on, and is it
Johanna?
Joe?
Johanna?
Yeah, I think she might have made a comment. Oh, Joe said, nice shirt, Dad.
Yeah, because she bought it for me as a present. Yeah, so I heard her say that.
Right, we're pretty short. So if we just give them a couple of minutes to, yeah, we've just gone 2 minutes past 8, so I'll give them a couple of minutes to log on, then we can start. So everybody who's joined so far, if you want to get your episode of your copy of The Return of Man from U.N.C.L.E. in front of you, and so we're ready to, so I'll do a little 5 second, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown, we'll all press play at the correct time. So you just want to sort out your copy. If you haven't got a DVD copy of it, it is available on YouTube. If you just type in Return of Man from U.N.C.L.E, it will pop up. So it's there freely available if you don't have your own copy. Did you have a nice trip to DC, Ray?
Yes, we did. We had a nice weekend up, or 2 or 3 days up there. We went up and stayed at the Hay Adams, which is our favourite hotel. Mm-hmm. And when I said that I wouldn't be back in time, Wendy contradicted me and says, yes, we will. We'll be back in plenty of time. So yeah, that was good.
Oh, very nice.
That was good. It's really clouding over here. Mm. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I think we're going to have rain here probably a bit later on. Looking that way.
Well, anybody's in watching at the moment, if I disappear, as I've told Philip, it's because I've been kicked out because of the weather. But I wish you all well.
Okay, so just got 2 more people. I'm just going to make sure nobody's struggling or anything. Yeah, no emails from everybody, so I think we're probably okay. Well, Caroline's just messaged me to say if she's logged on okay, and yeah, you're on fine, Caroline. What I'll do is in a few moments I'll bring you on and you can have a little chat to Ray. So I'll bring you on in a few moments' time. Okay, so I think we'll probably make a start. So just want to say welcome to everybody who's joined us for tonight's watch along of The Return of Man from U.N.C.L.E. I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Raymond Austin, the director of this wonderful reunion movie. Raymond's credits include, if you don't know his work, The Avengers, The New Avengers, starting off the Stunts, and then obviously director going forward with The Avengers and The New Avengers. The reunion movie Return of the Bionic Man and Bionic Woman. Spartacus, Operation Petticoat, and is there anything that you'd like to add to that list, Ray?
No, I think most people know my track record. 300 hours of television, right the way through all the American shows. That they will know, or it usually comes up, as you know, through these things. Someone mentions a show, and away we go talking about something else.
So I'm just going to so what we're going to do is we're going to have a brief introduction to the event, and then we're going to all press play on the episode simultaneously. I'm delighted to be joined by a couple of special guests in addition to Ray for this evening. We were hoping that writer and executive producer Michael Sloan would also join us, but unfortunately he's not feeling too well. But he will get a copy of this recording later on, so he's definitely with us in spirit. But we are like to say that we do have one member of the Return of the Man from U.N.C.L.E. cast online now, Miss Caroline Seymour, who played the actress in the story. So I'm just going to bring Caroline on the screen now. I'm just going to have a little catch up with Ray, and then we'll begin the episode. Okay, so I'm just going to put you on the screen now, Caroline. Okay. Let's start. Okay, I'll just ask you to start video, and you can hear me, Caroline?
There we are. Yeah.
How are you?
I can see her as well.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Hello, fine, Caroline. Yourself?
I'm good, thanks. I'm here. I'm in the southwest of France.
Oh, that's lovely. Weather good?
It's about to storm. We're about to have a huge storm.
Same here. Same here. I'm in Virginia, and it's clouding over. So I warned everybody that I could get kicked out anytime.
I know. I could too. I could too. It's been a long time. How are you?
Very, very well. Our last time together was in Hawaii.
I know. I remember.
Love for Sale.
Yeah, I remember. Long time ago.
Yeah, 30. Well, Uncle's 38 years.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So when you watch
it's ridiculous.
The fashion is a little out of date on it when you watch it.
Wow.
I watched it in the week with Wendy, my wife, and it is dated. But hey, everybody, all the gang that usually watch Philip shows and that, they love all these things and they like to talk about them. So it's great.
I know.
It's good.
Peter sent his love, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Peter. Dear Peter, I haven't seen Peter, but I think last time I saw Peter was Return of the Saint or something like that with Ian Ogilvy or something.
Yeah, a long time ago. But he's fine. He's been working like crazy. He's just done a documentary which did very well, and he's just had his knee done, so he's been held up a bit, but he's good.
Oh boy. Well, good for him. Good for him.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's
nice. He's in good shape. But he'd be mad if I didn't say hello. So that's
well, I'm glad you did, because I remember him fondly. I mean, our paths crossed. He would go on one show, I would be on the other, and we APPC either on the Avengers, the Saints, or whatever it would be in those days.
All of those shows.
I think we even crossed once on Black Beauty, I think. I'm not sure about that, or the Professionals. I don't know.
That before my time, but I don't know.
Oh, God.
Professionals was just a bit before I broke into all of
that. Really.
Yeah. So there we are. I hope Sam can join us. That would be fun.
Who's that?
Simon Williams.
Oh, Simon, yes.
I saw him the other day, and he was in rare form.
He's aging very well. He's got that grey hair, very distinguished.
Yeah.
Upper class top and all that.
But all those wonderful guys are aging so well. Ian Ogilvy's aging like a dream.
Yeah. Ian always looks good. Yeah.
He's wonderful.
I look good, so I don't care.
You look wonderful. You look wonderful. It's incredible.
Well, I have to say something about myself, But no, Philip's audience and that are usually very, very good to me, and so I'm happy. I've trundled along. We're out in the country, so we're away from everything, nice and safe. So it's good. It's good.
I know. Being in the country is lovely. We're deep in rural France right now, and then we're moving back to England, which is sort of weird, my sis and I. And I don't know where we're going to live, probably somewhere around Lincolnshire or somewhere like that.
Weren't you a Bucks girl, Buckinghamshire or?
Well, I was born in Buckinghamshire, but I grew up on the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, I remember that. I thought it was Buckinghamshire. Whereabouts in Buckinghamshire?
Memory.
Where were you? Where were you in Buckinghamshire?
Aylesbury.
Ah, yes. Yes, it used to be on my trip backwards and forwards to Ampthill to Pinewood. I used to cut through all that Tring and Amersham and all that thing.
Yeah.
Good old memories.
I know.
Good old memories.
But I haven't been back to England for 47 years. So
really?
Yeah. I was in LA until 10 years ago. I've been in France for 10 years. So it'll be like going back to a new country.
Well, anyway, it's a foreign country now, bless it.
Yeah.
We go back occasionally, but we moved here to Virginia 37 years ago from out of LA. We got out of LA. Now we've lost her, Simon.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Very good girl. You just turned the lights off.
I don't know, because somebody has decided to call me. They've forgotten.
Tell them to tune in.
My daughter, but also Peter just called me. I'll turn it off. So yeah, because I normally talk to Peter about every evening to see how he is.
That's good. That's good.
Busy.
Right. So what are we going to do, Philip?
So just wait for Anthony Zerbe to join us. Hopefully he'll be on.
Anthony's coming on?
Hopefully, yes. Fingers crossed the technology works. He should be.
He's the baddie. He's the baddie. He's
So
the baddie. He's got the atom bomb.
Yes. Yeah.
He's the one with the atom bomb. Yeah.
Don't let him press the button, whatever you do. For God's sake, don't let him press that button.
It was so funny because I was watching it a little bit the other day, and I'd remembered that this was one of the ones that you asked me to do, and I came on and did like half a day and then zoomed home again. So it seems like a totally counterfeit thing to be on it with you.
No. All part of it. All part of it. Were you down in the Vegas with us, or was it LA?
No. I flew. I was down. We were at the studio. I was at the studio. I came on in the studio.
Yeah. Our makeshift studio. Studio. I sent Philip a photograph. On the very last shot of the show, we were against the Uncle sign, and I was so pleased to be finished. I jumped up in the air, and they just caught me as I was in midair with my legs up underneath me.
Oh, cool!
And I was finished the show. That was the very last shot. I did send that to you, didn't I, Philip?
You did, yes. Lovely picture of that. Yes, thank you.
So Philip, I mean, what are your other shows that you tell me about yourself?
Yes, I've done a number of other watch-alongs. I've done some for the Avengers, the new Avengers, so a couple with Ray. I've done some of the Persuaders, a couple of the original Star Wars films, and a couple of other things in between as well, a couple of Bond films. So I've been doing these since February. But ever since 2016, I've been doing small family and friends events in person. Obviously, with COVID and everything, it's gone online. And
yeah.
This is
and you're 17 tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. Thank God for our guys.
When I first saw Philip, someone was looking over my shoulder to pick something up off my desk. They said he's 12 years old.
We're sounding very old. I always do that with the doctors. I always think they're too young to.
Well, it's no good now. I mean, you in the industry now, you go and try to pitch a show, you go into a room to pitch, you sit down at a table, and everybody around the table is 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old.
I know.
And you've got a guy here who's 1 year off 90, so trying to sell them a story.
I know, darling. I know. Then they all have a panic because they can't believe it, but it's sad.
But the worst thing is like Wendy tells me, I go on with a conversation and she looks at me and whispers, they don't know who you're talking about.
I know, that's the worst thing. That's the worst part of it.
I was talking to someone quite a time ago now, reminding them of a scene, Ray Milland in Lost Weekend and The Shadow of the Bottle. They said, Ray who? I said, Ray Milland. Ray Milland? And Wendy kicks me under the table many times and says, they don't know who you're talking about. Change the subject.
I know, but I had to do an audition one day at Warner's, and it was one of those awful things where I was, one has slid down the line, and eventually you're auditioning for the assistant to the assistant to the assistant casting director. And I walked in and I sat there next to this immaculate woman with a little hat on and gloves. And we sat there talking, And after a while, I said, my name's Carolyn Seymour. And she said, oh, how do you do? I'm Olivia de Havilland. And I said, Olivia de Havilland, what are you doing reading for? And this 16-year-old came in and wanted to audition her. I said, you can't do that to her. It was awful.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who Olivia de Havilland was.
Well, I do. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have directed her. She did A Love Boat of Mine.
Oh, heaven.
And Joseph Cotton was my best man at Wendy and I's wedding in Palm Springs, Joseph.
Lovely.
So, and in my first show, on one of my magnums, I had Olivier Dolomiti and Cesar Romero all in the same shot. I mean, you know, what more can you want? What more can you want?
Fabulous, fabulous.
Absolutely incredible.
I'm just going to interrupt you guys for a second. I'd like to say that Anthony Zerbe is now logged on. Good evening, Anthony. I'm going to promote you so you can actually appear on the screen. So just give me a second, I'll bring you on.
I know somebody asked me a question, but I didn't know.
I can never see these things when they come up. Philip tells me if anyone's asking me a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you've had a couple of questions come through, Caroline, so I'll go through those afterwards. Can you hear us, Anthony? Because I haven't got your, you haven't come up on picture for some reason.
But his name's there. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Oh, hang on, I might get him on in a second. Technology, wonderful.
Do the unmute and all of that.
I've lost him.
He'll come back.
Yeah, hopefully he'll come back in a second. So it might be a good opportunity just to go through the question that we had for you, Caroline. So why did you only do one season of Survivors? That came from, I think that was Ian. Ask that.
Well, it's no secret. I didn't get on very well with Terence Dudley, who was the producer, and he couldn't wait for a reason to get rid of me, which is what he did at the end. We were just chalk and cheese.
Oh right, yeah.
So it was a sad reason to go, but there we go.
Just one of those things, I guess. Oh,
there he is.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Hello, Mr. Zerbe. Well, can't hear. Hang on. I get the audio up.
Okay. Can you hear
There you
me?
are.
Oh, hello, Mr. Zerbe. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm in an undisclosed location in Southern California waiting for a sequel.
Anthony,
I've been waiting for 20 years.
And Anthony, keep your hand off that button. Don't press that button again.
Okay, I don't know what can you hear me?
Yes,
You're perfect. You're
Okay,
on. You're on. You're
perfect,
fine.
perfect. I was talking about the button for the hide
right.
the atom bomb.
I know, right, the red button.
Yeah, don't ever press. Not while we're on the air. For God's sake, don't do it, please.
Well, I've been developing another one. It's operated by my foot.
How are you, my friend?
Goes.
How are you doing, my friend?
The last 4 years, I've been tempted to use it many times, but not since February. So whatever. I'm doing fine. I'm great. I'm glad we're having this event. It's fun. I love shooting that show. I thought it was in Las Vegas, and it was fun to do and to see Solo and Ilya again. And sorry about Robert's passing, but you know, we all go somewhere. I prefer the Caribbean, but as I said, I took my helicopter to an undisclosed California hideout. Why did I get away? I think it was amazing.
I don't know why. So do I.
It's a perfect crime. I got out of, you know, when they helicoptered me out of the prison, when I made my escape, I actually held on to I just grabbed onto the things and the guy took off. They said, what about insurance? I said, I'm not going to let it go. Don't worry. Nothing's going to happen to me.
Well, once you were on there and going, I wasn't going to shout cut.
Yeah. Well, we just lifted up and we went off.
So how long were you up there for?
They circled and brought him back.
Yeah, I was long enough to get out of there.
You see, and the problem was, it was a real prison where we shot that.
Yes.
And in the background, they were real prisoners. We had a lot of extras in the foreground. So I was dreading the fact that someone actually got on and joined Anthony as he went away. And we think, whoa, he's gone.
They obviously weren't very smart prisoners. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's the old days, you know, everything didn't.
It was a little more loose, yeah.
What do we need to get the shot? Let's do it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. It was a good show. It was a fun show.
It was, wasn't it?
To do. And I'm sorry that Michael Sloan is not with us today, because as you know, Michael wrote it and produced it and exec produced it. Well, over the years, I've done a lot of shows with Michael. It's a shame that he's not here to join us today and laugh at some of the events that went on in it. Like you disappearing on a helicopter and not coming back.
Well, it's you know, those are my favorite parts where I did a Roland Centennial where I was definitely a bad guy, a heavy, laden with sin, and I got away with it all. I died in my old age reciting Romeo and Juliet to my wife. I liked those parts.
Yeah, well, you were very good at it. You were very smooth.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Would you have liked to play?
I thought it was set up for a sequel, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, we all did. We all did. Michael especially.
Yeah.
We waited for the news, and the next thing I knew, I was shooting something else, and it never happened.
Well, you were always shooting, right?
I'm a very lucky fellow, Anthony. Very lucky fellow. I never stopped. Just before you came on, I've done 300 hours of. I've shot 300 hours of television. I've never stopped. I've been a very lucky boy. Very lucky.
Well, we all.
Well, indeed, you guys. I mean, you go on and on. I mean, I've seen you through the years over and over again. I remember way back when you started with Naked City.
Right. That was my first television show in the middle of Times Square. The first shot I took in the middle of Times Square, and they put down they wanted me to stop on a mark, and I had only done theater, so I didn't understand the mark. So they put up some sandbags so I'd kind of run into them. I was shooting it with Sandy Dennis, if you remember her. A brilliant actress, wonderful actress. So I came bumping into these sandbags. That was my moment to stop and to say my line.
Paul Burke, and we got married down in Palm Springs, Wendy and I. And Joseph Cotton, as I was saying earlier, was my best man at the wedding, Joseph. But Paul Burke, excuse me, was at the wedding, at my wedding. And Wendy made a mistake through, not her own fault, through paperwork and that, of leaving the marriage license back at the house round the corner. And we were at the Ingleside Inn. So she had to rush back to get this marriage certificate where it was. So Paul Burke came to the rescue, and he did one of his police shots in the police car flying around back streets of Palm Springs to get there. So it was absolutely ridiculous. He was back in the role of playing his detective in the series. And his wife was a maid of honor for us as well. God, they were great times. They were great times.
I'm reminded of a time Marty Sheen and I were both shooting a Mission Impossible. And every year, you could be one heavy on one Mission Impossible. So for 5 years, I did a heavy every year for 5 years on Mission Impossible. I think I hold the record. But anyway, Marty and I were shooting this scene, and he's sitting at a desk in his office, and I come in and he says, "Where are the papers?" And I said, "They're right here." He says, "Give them to me." I said, and so that was, and I said, "Wait a minute," to the script girl. I said, "No, he's supposed to give me the papers. I'm not supposed to give him the papers." He comes in and she says, wait a minute. The director says, "What's going on? Why, wait." I said, "Marty's supposed to give me these papers, not me give him the papers." So he says, "To hell with it. We'll shoot it both ways and we'll figure it out later." So I come into the office and he says, "Where are the papers?" I said, "Right here." He said, "Give them to me." And then he comes into my office and I say, "Where are the papers?" He says, "Right here." I said, "Yeah." So we had it both ways.
That's the
Very
same
confusing. Mission Impossible.
Oh, God. But it's nice to have seen you over the years. I mean, because you've gone so many shows. You've done a thing going, as I said, from Naked City, Route 66, and all the way up the ladder right to these times. I mean, it's incredible, and you know, it's such a great thing to be in your company, both of you again. It really is. It really is.
We all had a good time, didn't we?
We certainly did. We certainly did. Those times are gone. It's not the same in the industry anymore.
No, it's a precipitous fall that once you turn, I don't know, 70 or something, whoa, then you're Josh Brolin, a good friend of mine, just says you wouldn't even recognize the business now.
No.
He said it's so different.
But that's exactly what it is a business.
Yeah. Well, it always was. I felt, I mean, it was a bit, we did the best we could to do with it what we could. I thought the writers were kind of wonderful. I did a series called Harry O, and our writers were just really good with David Jensen. We improvised a lot, but at the same time,
Michael Sloan wrote for Harry O as well.
Yeah, right.
I think Michael Sloan wrote for everything. I mean, the shows I did with Michael, saying at the beginning, he brought me over to do Sword of Justice. There was Quincy's, Hardy Boys, BJ and the Bear, Simon and Simon, Man from Uncle. I mean, it went on and on. The Master, $6 Million Man.
Yeah, boy, you made the rounds, didn't you?
Yeah, and then I used to go back to England in between to do other shows for professionals and bits and pieces. Lucky boy.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Yeah.
I feel blessed, actually. Imagine wanting to be an actor and continuing. I continued my life on stage as well, so I was always able to kind of supplement.
Well, so did you, Caroline, didn't you, on stage?
I did a lot. A lot. But what happened to me was I went to New York, to Broadway, to do Hay Fever, and by the time I got back, that was it. That was in '85, and it took a long time to get. I mean, I lost the impetus of doing all of those shows for quite a long time until I started doing Star Trek.
Yeah.
And then that changed. But I mean, that 2 years I was on Broadway for a year, and that was the end of it, really.
In Hay Fever?
Yeah, with Rosie Harris.
How fabulous.
Yeah.
But you got any
I flew myself there.
Philip, you got any questions for them yet?
Oh, yes, I have. Thanks, Ray. I have a question for Anthony. You've already mentioned it slightly, but do you have any other memories of Harry O that you'd like to share with the audience?
Of the Return from the Man from U.N.C.L.E, you mean?
Oh, well, yes. Let's start with the Return from the Man from U.N.C.L.E. Was it? Did you enjoy the shoot? Any particular fun memories of the show?
Well, just the camaraderie of, these guys were great. David and Robert, they're just really, they were pros. Everybody was a pro. Everybody's doing their job. It's amazing, that coordination. You get all those people together, and it's focused on us, the actors, but we don't exist without that crew and the director and the guidance, and it's all such a team thing. There's so many people behind the camera, but they're all there always. And there's a kind of synchronicity, I think, that comes when everybody, you just feel like you're part of you got to carry your part, but it's a pleasure to carry your part because everybody is carrying their part, doing their thing. And the cutters will come in and the producers, and then it's an amazing thing. You see this thing, you see this show. What's going on? I'm entertained. This is great. Hate to be so distracted from life, but it's a pleasure too.
Well, yeah, as Anthony's saying, suddenly it all comes together.
Yeah.
And you are one great big team. And we're so lucky, us three that are on this screen together, and I've had the pleasure of working alongside them. We're so lucky because someone gives us a lot of money to the production and gives us a lot of toys, and we go out and play with those toys.
Yes.
And I've always said that when I do lectures and talks, I've never been, since I went in the industry, I have never been to work a day in my life, ever.
Yeah.
I've never woken up and said, I don't want to go to work today.
Well put. Well put.
And it's a marvelous thing. And for a director, it's incredible. I get all these little soldiers and little toys and ask them to go there, and they go there, and how lucky can you get? What a wonderful job to have. It's an incredible job, Yeah. And you learn so much. I learned every time I did a show. The biggest lesson I learned very early in my career was from a well-known English director, Charlie Crichton, who was a gem of a director, a beautiful man. That a lot of directors want to take their actors into a set, and they say the door's there. You come in the door there. He's sitting at the desk. You have the conversation, and exit by this door, and so and so and so and so. Well, Charlie warned me against that, and I never ever did it. When I got into a new set, I always say to my actors, "There's the set. Let's see what we can do," and let the actors work it for me, because 70% of the time they had a better idea and construction of the movement of that scene than I did. And I was always thought myself so lucky that I listened to my actors first. Then there was adjustments, of course. Could you do this? Maybe do that, or this doesn't work. But if you let the actors have it for the first part of that scene, they will find the set. They know where they want to sit. They know where they want to move. And you just let them do it. And I said to myself time after time, God, I'm glad I didn't do what I wanted to do, because this is so much better. And it was always much better, always. I would say that to this day. Charlie Crichton advised me well. He said, let the actors show you what they want to do. He said, then you can make an adjustment by saying, wait a minute, I don't have a wall that way, or whatever. He said, you can make those adjustments then. He says, but let them show you what it's all about. And it works. They've got it in their head. They've read the script at home. They know what the story is. They know who they are, the goodie or the baddie. And as I say, we go to work and we play with all these toys, and we're so lucky, to repeat myself. Hey.
Yeah, we are.
I wanted to ask you, Anthony, do you have any memories of your fellow cast members? I was thinking particularly the actor who played Guido, your henchman. Dirk Durock.
Jack Durack.
Dirk Durock, yes.
He started off as a stuntman, Jack.
Yeah, right. That's right. What was his name again?
Durack. Jack Durack. Nice guy.
Oh,
Nice
right,
guy.
right.
6'5".
Yeah. Oh, right. I know. Well, I run myself.
And he was a gentleman.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a
gentle giant.
gentleman.
Yeah. Well, I think I said to him, I said, bad guys, every bad guy has a mother. And I always console and was in the 5th grade and before he started acting up. So I don't think bad guys are bad guys. I think they're just
no
guided. They're greedy.
Yeah.
In this case.
And
I thought my guy was smart, kept the show on the air, didn't know what he was going to do. Was he going to press the button, as you say? So, and then when he did, foiled again. God damn it! Gonna get my helicopter and wait for the sequel.
We have Simon Williams in the audience. So I'm going to bring him on shortly. So hello, Simon. Thanks for joining us. Before we do, I just want to ask you, Anthony, one final question. Do you have any memories of Rooster Cogburn that you'd like to share?
Coburn.
Oh, Coburn, yes, sorry. Opposite John Wayne?
Me?
Oh, yes. I wonder if you had any memories of the film.
Of John Wayne?
Yes, or the film in general, because it's just obviously.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story, and then I gotta go. Well,
okay.
This was a movie with John Wayne and Katharine Hepburn,
and
we were in the woods in Oregon, and there were all these guys, rough guys, tough guys, horses and stuff. And for lunch, they always had a table with a tablecloth on it. And John Wayne was at one end of the table, and Katharine Hepburn supposedly at the other end. Her empty chair was there, and we're all there, and we're sitting there, maybe 5 or 10 guys across from each other, all the guys. And we're all talking and laughing and talking and laughing. And then Miss Hepburn approaches the table, and it got quiet, and she sat down, and everybody was just quiet, including John Wayne, and waiting for Katharine Hepburn to say whatever she was going to say at that particular lunch. It was always that way. She was such a lady, and Wayne always gave deference to her. He was a good guy, politically notwithstanding. He was just a funny man. He was very charming to be with, not difficult at all.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry, Andy, did you want to just say a quick hello to Simon Williams? We'll just start to bring him on. Do you want to hang around for a moment too longer?
Okay, I can only say a moment more, but
yeah. Hopefully, I'll just get him online and just have a quick wave, and then that'd be.
Because Anthony's filming, he's got to get back on the set.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, they're screaming.
You're still working, aren't you, Anthony? So you're still.
We're all working and we get the chance no matter what age we are.
Yeah.
So Simon, can you start your audio and video, please? Oh, hang on, I think we're getting there. I just want to say thank you, Anthony, for joining us. It's been a real pleasure for all of us to have you here tonight. So thank you very much for that.
Lovely.
It's nice to see you, Anthony, again.
Yes, good to see you.
Williams.
Hello.
A little.
Hi, sir.
Hi there. I'm so sorry. I just got back. The traffic was terrible. I just caught some of the great stories and things to hear. Honestly, it was
lovely. Lovely, they've been.
Good. You're looking great, darling.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Good to see you, man.
Are you going to leave already?
I'm on my way out. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'd love to talk to you one-on-one.
Well, perhaps we will.
Yeah, I hope one day.
Okay.
Good, good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye
Bye,
now.
everyone.
Thank you very
Great
much.
to be with you.
Ciao, Anthony.
Thanks for
God
joining
bless.
us.
Be safe.
Bye, Anthony.
Hi there. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Simon? Had a nice
Well,
day?
I'm fine. I've had a bit of a day. I was doing a Doctor Who convention and the traffic coming back was terrible, but here we are. How's it going? And when are we going to see the film?
Yeah, we're going to start that quite shortly. So first of all, I'm guessing you haven't seen Caroline away for quite some time, I take it.
I think my wife, Lucy Fleming, has seen her. They've been doing some big Finnish dramas together, The Survivors. Is that right?
Chatting. Yeah, we've been chatting.
Yeah. You look completely unchanged.
Huh?
You look unchanged.
Oh, I wish, darling, I wish.
No, you look just the same. How's life? Where are you? Are you in France?
I'm in France, yes, but I'm coming back to the UK. I'll be landing in Lincolnshire on the 1st of August, and we're there for good.
How do you land in Lincolnshire? What have they got there? What airport have they got there?
Well, we started off trying to find somewhere to live, and we couldn't find anywhere that would take 3 cats and a dog, and eventually 2 dogs and 2 cats. And then this one place agreed to take all the animals, and now all the animals have died bar 1 old dog. And we're coming back. That's where we're going because we booked it.
See, when you said landed, I thought you had an airport in Lincolnshire.
No. There's no airport. There is an airport. There is a very good airport which can get me to Amsterdam very quickly. But we're actually driving over.
Good.
I might get lost because we've got massive thunder coming along.
Oh right.
Because we're expecting a huge storm.
We got the football on, the quite big Italy game against Austria going on.
I know the boring football.
No, not boring.
Ray, do you keep up with the football?
No, I try not to.
Ray, where are you? Where are you sitting in that lovely room, Ray? Where is that room?
In Virginia.
In Virginia.
Heaven. That room is heaven.
Just outside Charlottesville, a place called Earlysville.
Oh, right.
Lovely.
It's been keeping
Sorry.
How long ago was it we did A Man from U.N.C.L.E? What was the year?
38 years ago.
38.
38 years ago. 38 years ago, and I just hope you remember the wiring, for God's sake, because I don't want it to go off today.
It was a horrible couple of days or more we had in that mine.
That bloody cave thing. Yeah, it wasn't very nice, I must admit, but you guys did wonderful, as always.
I remember the boys telling me there were 2 lines they always cut from every episode. They said, always at the beginning of the scene, they said, one of them had to say, "Are you okay?" And at the end, one of them had to say, "Okay, let's go." And they said, we always cut those 2 lines. It was good. It was a good, popular show.
It was a popular show. And I was saying earlier, it's a shame Michael can't be with us today.
Oh, what's the matter with him? Is he okay?
He's a bit under the weather. Philip had him all lined up to come on and be with us, but he's a bit under the weather. But I'm sure he's either watching it or he'll see the recording.
I saw him last year in New York, and he was on great form. The novels of The Equalizer are going. That's so good. You must read them.
Yes, they are very good.
He's a good writer. He's just a good writer.
Yeah. Well, we were saying earlier, he's written so much stuff and produced so many shows over here. I've done so many shows with Michael.
Did you do any BJs? The BJ and the Bears?
BJ and the Bear. Yeah, I did BJ and the Bear as well.
Yeah.
And
he was very, very loyal. He always used his friends if he possibly could.
Oh yeah. You came with a sensational track record when you came to us. Like, your track record is absolutely incredible, the work you've done over the years. I mean, you just go on and on and on.
Well, it always looks better looking back on it than it was at the time. It was pretty
No, it was very good. It was very, very good. At one time, I had a meeting with Bob Baker before I ever met you. Because when we were going to do, when I was going to shoot the pilot of The Return of the Saint with Ian Ogilvy,
if
it was a thing there, yours and his name were mentioned in the same breath virtually.
Oh, well, he was very good. He's a close friend of mine. He's over here doing a movie at the moment in Britain.
Yeah, you know, he's a good. I had a good time working with him because I shot those first shows. But you two were both the runners for that because
I think he was probably a better choice. He's
Well-
got a heroic quality. I've got a sort of a weakness for having my tongue in my cheek in a dangerous cinematic situation.
I know.
I
No,
can't-
but I mean, you virtually never stop work. I mean, you incredible.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so-
The great thing about you, Ray, is that you always finished early. You used to shoot from the hip, bap, 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 and we were out and home, and we were back in Las Vegas in no time at all. It was fantastic.
I know. I mean,
We had-
that happened an awful lot with me. They used to love me when I used to go up to Canada to shoot for Michael on Hitchcock Presents and that, because all the crew knew they would be home in time.
Yeah,
What
I
their
did a few of
program-
those. I did a couple of those.
Yeah, I know. I know.
He's a very good man. I hope he's all right. I'm going to give him a call afterwards and make sure he's okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's,
Yeah, I think he's okay. I think he's just a bit. He said he wasn't feeling too good most of the week, so it's probably just hopefully just something, you know, a bad cold or flu.
Yeah.
So we did a little rehearsal together, and he was on very good form then about a week ago. So I think he's doing very well. Should we all start the episode? Do you, Caroline, do you want to hang on for a bit and sort of stay with us?
Darling, I think it's going to be taken out of my hands because it's really getting outrageous, and I'm surprised you can't hear the rumblings.
You're pretty outrageous yourself, darling.
yeah, she always,
Thank you, darling.
she was always like that.
Always like that, yeah, always like that. It was lovely to talk to you all. Lovely to see you, Ray. Lovely to see you, Sam. Lovely, 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 lovely. Thank you, Philip, for asking me to join. But I've got a mad dog who's trying to get out the window, and I think I'm going to have to go down and take care of it all.
Darling, let us know where we can find you. And
Oh yeah, I will do. Absolutely.
we'll
I'll
take
see you
care.
soon in a month.
Yeah.
Give my best to Peter.
Darling heart, I will. He'll be thrilled I've spoken to you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
Philip.
Get out of here. You got to go now because then Simon and I get a bigger screen.
Okay, bye.
Ever the pragmatist. He's gone.
Oh God.
So Simon, do you have a copy of the film to hand, or should we just talk through it as we?
I don't. I'm quite keen to have my supper, so I might sign off. But it's been great seeing Ray and Caroline.
Before you go, Simon, I just wanted to ask, what was it like working with David McCallum? Because obviously most of your scenes were with David.
I absolutely, he was great because he was very keen for news of how things were in the UK. And we were in adjoining on the same floor at Caesar's Palace when we were in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And we used to have under our doors in the morning, they'd put a little broadsheet of all the hookers that were there and available and what they did. And we would dial up their numbers. Say, oh, listen, we've just got in from the UK and we don't quite understand what you mean by this. What do you mean by manual stimulus? All these ridiculous. And they'd say, well, honey, and we would be, he'd listen on the extension and me on the main. We'd just have a hoot listening to this, these explanations of what these girls could do to us. We said, well, we're going to charge $40 to do what? And yeah, it was good.
$40, you got the cheap. God, it cost me more than that.
I was a young man. No, we had some good times, but I really didn't like Las Vegas as a town. I just thought it was the devil's. It was like Beelzebub everywhere. They're kind of the
But it's
Greek.
always murder the film. I spent a whole year there doing a show called Vegas.
Yeah,
with Robert Urich.
yeah.
And
Did you go mad?
Kill me.
Yeah. The
Terrible.
most annoying thing was I wasn't allowed to go out on a plane trip over the canyon. The film wouldn't let me, the producers wouldn't let me go. So that was a shame.
Do you have any other memories, Simon, of the show before you go you'd like to share?
I do remember it being very difficult with the diffusing of the thing in the mine.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have contact lenses in those days, and I'm quite short-sighted. So me sort of peering and sweating and trying to do the save the day with the bomb was quite realistic, because I couldn't see what the hell I was doing.
Was it uncomfortable hanging on, you know, when you and Elia were tied up?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't as uncomfortable as I tried to make it look, but it was pretty uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I haven't seen it in so long. I can't wait.
Oh, it's a really, really good episode. And you did a bit of Robert Vaughan, didn't you, as well? What was Robert like to?
He was a bit less accessible in terms of sort of sociability. He was very charming, but he was sort of very much head boy, you know. And did you find that, Ray, or how did you find him?
Robert always, if you couldn't find him, he was sitting in his chair reading a political book.
Yes.
He'd always be reading a political book and making sure you could see the cover.
Is that a way of showing off, was it?
Yes, it was. He was okay. I mean, he was like all you guys, you know, and as I've said before, I had the pleasure to work alongside. He was there, always on time. He was there. He knew his lines. It was never, ever a problem. Yeah. Ever a problem. If anything, he was straight down the middle. You know, more of a machine.
Yes. How was he emotionally on screen? I think he didn't show much emotion, did he?
No, but that was Napoleon Solo.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, right. I mean, that he was the straightforward guy, and David was the more sort of sidekick, or always was in that.
Do you think they enjoyed revisiting their roles after how many years was it?
I think they enjoyed the money.
Yes, well, that's always enjoyable.
Yeah, I think they enjoyed the money.
And
listen, I'm sure they would have signed on to do the series if we'd have got picked up.
Oh.
You know, if we got picked up again, I think
frozen.
I can still hear you, Simon.
Can you hear us, Philip?
Yeah, we can hear you, Simon. Yep, yep.
I can hear you. You're frozen quite handsomely, but you're frozen.
Oh, back in.
You're back in.
We're back.
It was 15 years since the series had ended to the reunion. So,
yeah.
Oh, I think everybody would have been so pleased if it would have been picked up. I know Michael and I were good. I mean, I was surprised that it didn't pick up again, because there was very little at that time that was much good that was on. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, we went on. Michael and I went on and started BJ and the Bear and Simon and Simon from then on, but there was no long. Oh, we had Bionic Woman and Bionic Man going.
When he was doing the Hitchcock, he would fly home to LA for the weekend, to Malibu for the weekend. He'd write an episode on the plane. He was just so fast and so good. He's, you know, when he got his head down, that he was the most generous man I have ever worked with. And the fact he's now not a multimillionaire is a tragedy, because he
was excellent
and so generous. No one ever paid a bill when Michael was in the room.
And Michael, he's always been the same all his life. And, you know, writing wise, when we were shooting in Caesar's Palace, we ran into trouble there because we'd lost one actor, and we had to make a change round. And we were shooting in the foyer of Caesar's Palace by the big window. I was sitting in my chair. Michael was sitting on a balcony, a walkway above me with an iron railing and velvet cushions, writing. And as he was writing the page, he was dropping it over the balcony. It would land on my lap. I would immediately give it to Lester Holt, my script supervisor, and we'd start shooting again. And when I'm coming to the end of that, another page would come floating down. Michael's writing it and dropping them over the edge like aeroplanes.
They just don't do it like that now. It's so exciting. Yeah.
It was so funny. And at the end of the day, he said, God, I'm glad we got through that day. But he must have written about 9 pages, all getting this character out. There was another character there, which suddenly we didn't have anymore. But
I like that. I like that filming by the seat of your pants, really. I've always enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's good. It's a lot of fun.
I like it when the director calls up and says, hey, I've just seen something fantastic. There's a new moon or something. Let's do that dialogue. I like directors who work on the hoof. And
it's all very, very, very nice to do it, things that way if you can, and you're not stuck in the studio. Down there, the actors had a bad time. It was so hot down there.
it was hot.
And bear in mind, some of the stuff I stole down there was supposed to be on New York streets. And you've got Robert and David walking along there in suits, and if the audience notices when you start the show up, when you see those New York streets, everybody else is in t-shirts, open jack shirts. They're the only two in suits because we're supposed to be in New York. But of course, we didn't fly to New York this early. We shoot it outside wherever we were shooting. Just grab the camera, go outside the door and shoot. We are now in New York.
It's not going to take away anyone's pleasure, though, is it? That sort of thing.
Absolutely not. I hope not. They're listening to a story.
Yeah, quite.
God almighty, I'd be in a terrible state. I'll never work again.
Yeah. How are you working now? How are you doing?
I'm still writing like you wrote. I write my mystery novels.
Yeah.
And we're lucky we're sitting in a great big lump of land here, so we got plenty to do. Wendy does the garden all the time.
You got animals?
No. We used to have horses, but got rid of them a long time ago.
Yeah.
Coming up to my 89th birthday next year.
Get away. God,
yes. December the 5th, 89.
Golly. Well, I wish you happy birthday in advance. To Virginia. Philip, I'm going to go now.
Well, thanks for joining us. It's been really wonderful to see you and to take the time. It's been really fantastic. So thank you very much.
If you're talking to Michael, send him my love and just congratulate him. I'm sure the film still looks great. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, so if you go on that YouTube link I sent you, or if you want me to send you a DVD of it, I'm more than happy to. So
great. Thank you. If I have any trouble, that would be great.
Okay.
All the very best.
Hello, Philip, I'm trying to say something here.
Oh, sorry.
I would just like to say, Simon, that until I had meetings with the casting director, Susan Arnon, when we did the casting for Uncle, I really hadn't grasped who your dad was.
Oh, right.
And it gave me such joy when I realized who he was, because I must have seen practically every one of his films in my growing up years.
Oh.
I was born in 1932. He made five movies in 1932. Your father.
Yeah. Well, I think there was a lovely film on the other night of his called The Day Will Dawn with Deborah Carr. A lovely movie. It's great to have a father who's been in the business, because there he is, And my wife, of course, who's the daughter of Celia Johnson, So
right, absolutely. But I got close to his work because, as I say, he did so many. He must have done 60, 70 films in his lifetime. He was very, very good. And I got close to his subject on The Grass is Greener.
Oh, did you?
Yes, because I was at that time working with Cary Grant. And we came over because Cary with Stanley Donen was going to do Grass is Greener.
With Mitchum.
Wasn't going to do it. Rex Harrison was going to do it, but Ken Kendall got ill and Cary stepped in and did it.
I didn't know that.
With Bob Mitchum. And but I knew it was your father's screenplay and from the book.
Well, he wrote the play for himself as a stage play. He did it for 18 months with my wife's mother, Celia Johnson, and Joan Greenwood, and Murray Watson, and Eddie Underdown.
No, I take your hat off to you having a dad like that, because he was good money. He was money in the bank.
That's nice of you to say that. Thanks.
Money in the bank. All right, my friend, I'll let you go get back to shooting.
Yeah. Goodbye now. All the very best.
God bless.
Simon. Good pleasure.
Bye, Ray. Lovely to see you.
Okay, be safe. Bye now.
Bye.
Stay well. Bye.
Bye. Okay, that was nice. A few reunions there.
Yeah, that was good. Very good.
Big indeed.
You're going to start the show?
Yeah, I think we'll make a start now. So after that nice little long introduction, we'll get started for the episode.
Do we have any audience left?
Yeah, everybody's here. Yeah, we got another person joined us as well, so we've increased our numbers. That's really good.
Well, I hope my daughter and my son haven't gone to bed yet, but still, you never know.
They're still on my list. Yeah, they're still here.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. So if you've got your copy of the film to hand, I would just sort of pause on the map, but just before the credits start to roll. So just want to take a few seconds just to get your copy, either your DVD or if you're on YouTube, just get that ready to go. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that, and then we'll press play and we'll begin the watching them.
Paused on the map.
Okay, perfect. Okay, if anyone's having any trouble with their copy, just let me know and we can take a second or two, but if not, we will begin. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. Okay. So Ray, when were you? So I take Michael brought you into this project to begin with.
Yeah. No, into this project.
Was he?
Yeah.
The one.
Yeah, Michael did that.
Mm-hmm.
I've already shot a lot of other stuff for him as well, but he wanted me for that, so I came in on it.
Yeah.
But Michael was the executive producer and the writer of it, and on the normal series as well.
Yeah.
So he was but as I say, I worked with Michael over the years on so many shows. He produced and directed so many shows. So many shows. And when I first came over to do the Sword of Justice, he recommended me to Glenn Larson. Glenn Larson asked him if he knew about Ray Austin, the English director, and he said yes, use him. So I came out, I did the Sword of Justice.
So what was your first thoughts when you read the script for this movie?
Well, I liked it because bear in mind I'm in with the series itself. So one's watched the series, so one knew it backwards going over it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a very difficult thing to it's very difficult to judge it with anything else because you were so used to the series itself, which Michael had written most of those. So it flowed on naturally, but a different story. And using a big location for it, because normally the show was not shot on locations like that. There was some street stuff and that, but most of it was studio, the series itself. But to go and do the movie of it was going on location. Away we went to Nevada, everywhere.
Because that was, I suppose, a real benefit of MGM and studios in the 60s. They had extensive back lots, so they had a jungle set, they had you name it, they could have a set, and they would do it all on the studio. And I think that's one of the reasons why The Man from U.N.C.L.E. didn't come back in the 70s, was because the studio had obviously sold lots of their land to developers. And when it came to pitching, the studio executive just said, well, this show is too expensive because we can't do it on the back lot anymore. We'd have to go abroad and etc. And it just meant the show was too expensive.
Well, that up to a point, but we were doing a lot on the back lot. There were so many shows we were doing on the back lot. Quincy was shot on the back lot. BJ and the Bear was a lot of location, but there was also standing set. Simon and Simon was back lot. Master with Lee Van Cleef, which was Michael's again. That was location a lot, but again, a lot back lot and $6 Million Man. So that's not exactly true. I mean, they did use their back lot much as they did to get their rentals from the company. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had money coming in for that.
And we're seeing Tom Mason as Kowalski on screen now with Anthony Zerbe. Do you remember Tom Mason at all?
That was one of his first jobs. That was Tom Mason's first job. I cast him with Michael and Susan Arnold on that, and he's done very well through the years.
Yeah.
Very well. He's become a very good established actor. Very good. Very good.
And again, would you have auditioned him for the role?
Well, he read for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Would Anthony have read for it, being a more
No. Everybody knew his work, Anthony's work. Everybody knew their work. You know, when Simon was suggested to me, people turning around and saying, "You want to see Simon?" You know, I laugh. You know, I said, "You're joking." You know, I've gone along the lines of growing up with Simon Williams as well. I don't need to see his work. I know he's a very good established actor. Well, I've already asked him to play, he'll play it. It's completely unnecessary. You're just doing the scene now where Anthony's going to jump on and hang on that plane. Now, most of those people there were genuine prisoners.
Right.
There was about 30 actors, extras, but most of them were genuine prisoners. He's jumped on there, he's hanging on there. And I was laughing and joking with Fred Conenkamp, the cameraman, saying, we'll be lucky if 2 or 3 prisoners don't jump on there with him and go.
Yes.
That's another guy that deserves great credit on here. It's Fred Conenkamp, the cinematographer.
Absolutely.
He's an excellent cinematographer. And I mean, he was above television. I mean, he's done some marvelous shows, really great shows and awards, etc. I learned a lot from him, and I like working with him so much.
There was a shot of Anthony on a helicopter, sort of quite a long shot. I assume that was a stuntman, not Anthony on the very, very long.
No, they had to do a turn round. So I used the last part of the shot for that. No, he didn't. Jensen was my stunt coordinator on that, and he was going mad. You know, he'd actually grabbed hold of it and wouldn't let go. But he enjoyed it. And you see Patrick there. Patrick followed me from the Avengers. That was the second time I had Patrick down in Vegas, because I had him down there on another show called Vegas with Robert Urich.
Yeah.
Patrick, but Patrick wasn't down in Vegas with us. Patrick was at all studio stuff in L.A.
Yeah. Because I believe it was Michael's idea to have. Did he recommend Patrick and then you, or was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael wanted Patrick, and as you know, I've worked with him for years and years. I had no problem at all. It would have been very nice to have Lee J. Carroll doing it still, but sadly he'd left us.
Oh yes, he died a few years before this, sadly.
Yeah.
It's nice that he's referenced in the episode, and there's a nice little picture of him that
well, I've got him on the corner of the desk in that picture. You know, they liked it. His family likes it. Michael said we may as well do it, so we could put it there. It was a bit obvious in actual fact, but hey, it was there.
Oh yeah, I think so. It was a very good, nice touch to have.
It was on Friday's desk.
Yeah. So you've been in touch with his family and got permission to kind of sort of run it by them, as it were, or
not me. The studio had.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have anything to do with that. That was all done off. Nothing to do with me at all.
As you mentioned, the cinematographer Fred Conenkamp, could you just go a bit more detail of your memories working with Fred?
Say again?
Oh, just wanted a few more memories of working with the cinematographer Fred Conenkamp. Whether
no, yeah, good memories, all good memories. We got on like a house on fire. He done other shows with me as well.
All right, yeah.
Fred did 2 or 3 other shows with me. I can't remember what they were, but I often used to run across him in LA, because a lot of the companies would grab him if they could get him, because they knew they got a good cameraman. I mean, he was worth his weight in gold. I mean, he's a major feature director, cinematographer. Major.
Did you want him on this primarily because you'd worked with him before, or because of his uncle connection, or was it a bit of both?
No, it's just as a technician. I mean, he was a great technician. I love working with him. I would have chose him for any show that I was doing. He's just one, you know, one of the Hollywood greats, as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
Oh yeah, yes. It's nice that he worked on the original series and obviously this movie as well. And as you say, it's partly the work of people like him that The Man from U.N.C.L.E. has such high production values, and it doesn't date. It's shot so well. So to have him on this one, of course, was a great asset.
Well, you'd never get a bad shot with him, with Fred, ever.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get with a cinematographer and you get something a bit underexposed, or it's got the wrong mood for you because the mood of the scene shouldn't be where he's put it. But Fred always knew the script, and if it was a dark scene or low key because of the dialogue and the frame of mind, he was there with it without any time. You know, a lot of the times with cinematographers, I would walk on a set and say, you know, this doesn't really work for the set. Can you bring it down a touch for me, because it's really a sad scene that she's lost her father or whatever the case may be. And they make the adjustment, and they hadn't worked it out for themselves before. They could have done. But Fred was always there, you know, and if it was an action scene, he'd make sure that it was that effect and you were looking at action rather than looking at, you know, mood.
So would you have watched a lot of the original series in preparation for directing this to get a feel for the show again?
Sorry, say again.
Oh, well, would you have watched some episodes of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. in preparation for shooting for the movie?
No.
No? No,
I didn't need to. I knew the show very well. Like Bionic, when I did Bionic, I knew well. Yeah. Most of the shows I didn't have to watch. I'd seen them, and that, you know, Quincy, Simon & Simon, and all those shows. I knew the format very well, so I could go in and do it without any trouble. The only thing that changed was the stories for those particular episodes.
Yeah, I always find that you know, the Man from U.N.C.L.E. is quite interesting to sort of know, if you were to remake it today, how to do it, because if you look at the first series, the second, the third, and the fourth, they're all very distinctive in terms of tone, direction. Some are more serious spies, some are more comic, and some are very sort of almost approaching some of the Adam West Batman in terms of very sort of very camp and over the top.
This can happen a lot. You know, when you go from season 1, 2, 3s, and 4s, management, for their own good reasons, decide they're going to make changes with producers or writers, and you get a new producer come in, or a new exec producer or a showrunner, and they think that they've got a better idea than the last person, and they're going to make changes. And most of the time, it messes it up. Yeah. It spoils it. I mean, if the network has brought it and decided to go with the pilot and run it as a series, it usually works to stay with the person who created it, and it was the executive producer and the actors that were in it, because that's what the audience got used to, and this is what the company brought. Yeah. Universal or Warner's or wherever it was. But so many times they change within the series, especially if it's a long-running series. You know, they would change people, and they would put new executive producers in, and he would bring his friends in. And so you started to get a flavor of a different show, which didn't really work. Yeah. A lot of them it did. Sometimes it was better. Sometimes maybe it saved the show, like it did with our Avengers, as you know. Yeah, when they took the Avengers away from Brian Fennell and Brian Clements and Albert Fennell, the show nearly did a nosedive and never came back until they asked them to come back and put it back on its feet. It did. So it swings and roundabouts. It works both ways, but many times I've taken good producers off of a show and creators who usually stay on as a showrunner or something like that, and the show goes downhill.
So the scenes we just saw earlier with Vaughan set in Vegas, I take it that was using the actual casino rather than being a set? Well,
we needed a casino. You know, when we shot the casino, we had a carte blanche there. They were very good to us. They let us do whatever we wanted there. But then again, they got great publicity for it. Excuse me a minute. I've got to get some more water.
Oh, I'll just pause by the DVD a second. If everyone just wants to pause their
No, don't pause. Don't pause. I know the show.
So I hope everyone's having a good evening so far, and we'll continue again in a few moments' time. In the meantime, if anyone's got any questions they want to ask, please to put them in the chat or the Q&A function. I probably will get some maybe more sort of towards the end of the watch along, or if there's an appropriate time, I'll get to the questions. But either way, I will go through the questions with Ray before we close. So any questions, please to put them in the chat or the Q&A, and we will get to them.
I'm back, guys.
Okay, lovely. Yeah, so we did pause, Ray, just with Elia adjusting the dress. I don't know if you can get that on the YouTube.
I've got to go back.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back. I'm going to pause. We're in the casino playing the card game.
Okay, so we'll catch up with you, Ray. So we're going to press play again. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play, and I'll let you know when we're on the card playing shot. So we're seeing Elia adjust the dress of, I believe it's a lady called Randy Brooks. Do you remember her at all?
Who?
Randy Brooks, I believe her name is. She's
yes, Randy.
Yes.
Yeah, she worked for me before. She worked for me on Simon & Simon as well. Randy, she was a nice girl, big girl, nice.
We're now back on the card playing scene, Ray. So if you want to press start, you'll be right with us.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back, dear Gail.
I did try and track Gail down for tonight, but I couldn't find her even on IMDb Pro and stuff. There wasn't any contact details for her, so unfortunately. What was Gail like to work with?
Good as gold. No problem at all. Again, as I said, she's online, newer lines, always on time. No problem.
And the KGB, her KGB minder is just trying to get his name, Jan Triska, I believe. Do you remember him at all?
And what was he?
He's the one playing poker with Napoleon.
Yes, yeah. I don't remember him too well, but I have seen him through the years. So, yeah, no, I don't remember him too well.
Yeah.
But again, everybody was good on it. We were a good family on this.
Because roughly, how long would it have taken to do the whole movie? Into a few months,
I think I did it in 22 days.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did it in 22 days.
And if you had to split, say, how many days were on location, how many days studio, was it roughly sort of a 50-50 split, or? No.
We exterior, and I think we were down in Vegas most of the time. We were back in the studio. We were only did 2 or 3 street scenes in Los Angeles. We were mainly 4-wall all the time, and we had spent a lot of time in the dam. You know, a lot of stuff in the dam.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was quite funny and amusing when they started talking to their pens.
Yes.
It brought back a lot of memories for Robert and David, and made a lot of people laugh, you know, because here we are in 2020, whenever it was, or 2019, or now, and you think of the way we talk things then.
Yeah.
And at this stage, when we were down there, we had cell phones, in our cars and one thing and another, but our guys were still talking into their pens. And that was 38 years ago.
Yeah. Did you find that Robert and David found it a bit strange getting back into the roles? Did it come back to them quite quickly?
No, those two, the only one who was out of pace with it was Patrick, because he really was in a toss-up. He couldn't change the character from what Carol was, VJ Carroll. I mean, that was the M character, the boss man. So Patrick had to go away on those lines without putting his own stamp on it.
Yeah.
So as long as he didn't put his tongue in his cheek, he was still playing Steve of the Avengers.
Yeah, yeah.
If he'd have started having jokes and putting his tongue in his cheek, he would have been Steve. So he was having to be very careful of not creating that same character.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like the fact that he is, you know, an Englishman coming over to America to take over the uncle role.
Yes.
He's new to it, so obviously he's a fish out of water. So again, that's why he suits any nerves or anything that Patrick might have had in terms of creating the character, because he is supposed to be somebody that's new to it, which may have helped.
Well, he wasn't completely new because he knew the background of thrush. Thrush was international, or tried to become international. So wherever he was before, story-wise, we take it he knew about thrush.
And one of the interesting things about this movie is it redesigns the thrush symbol. Obviously now it's basically a lightning. Was there any talk of that?
I didn't even know that until long after we'd done the show. Someone pointed it out to me. I didn't realize that.
Ah, right. Yeah.
I didn't realize it at all.
Yeah. But of course, again, that's part of the realism, isn't it? Because obviously it would change in that time. If everything was exactly the same, it would feel unnatural.
Yeah. I can't remember how long it was before they did The Last Man from U.N.C.L.E. until I did this one, the 2 hour.
It was definitely 1968 was the last episode. So yeah, it was obviously the subtitle of this is obviously the 15 years later affair. So it is essentially 15 years, give or take a few months. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Of course it was. Absolutely. Absolutely. And both David and Robert looked as if they stepped out of one show into the other without having the hair out of place.
Absolutely. And did you like the fact that where we find Elio and Napoleon now, Napoleon being a computer expert because computer company, Elio is a fashion designer. Did that seem natural to you, the way that Michael progressed their characters? Yeah,
that worked for me. Worked for me. When they told me he was a dress designer, I thought, well, wait a minute. Then I thought about David, the way he could play things, and I thought, yeah, I can imagine, I can see him doing that. And it worked for me. One didn't really have to worry about the backstory for those because they were good established characters. You know, all the world knew them. We were shown in lots of countries. Then we go to all the stunt stuff we did down in Vegas. The Vegas authorities were very good to us and the film industry people there. They cooperated and let us close down streets and blow stuff up in the middle of the streets and one thing and another.
Yeah.
Jump the cars. I think we had about 3 or 4 car turnovers in this sequence.
So we've just so on my DVD we've just got Napoleon getting into his car. Is that where you are now? Slightly ahead of us.
No, I'm going. I can hold back a little bit.
But yeah, if you want to press pause a second, and then we'll try and catch up.
I'll pause.
Yeah. What have you paused on, Ray?
Let me find something to pause on.
Yeah.
Him and her talking in the car at the moment.
Okay.
Two shot.
I'm sure we'll catch up to you.
Her hair's blowing all over the place, bless her heart.
Yeah. And it's lovely, all the references to the old movies and things. So we've got It Happened One Night. We've got Tiffany's.
The blanket between the bed.
Yeah.
I'm still the two shot in the car. It's the longest conversation ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're just about catching up for you in a second. Just let it go a few more seconds.
There's a lot of car stuff. It's the longest conversation I've played in a car, I think, in a car chase ever.
Yeah.
Right, the first shot, I've paused now on George Lazenby's car on the back number plate.
Okay, yeah, lovely. We'll get to that very shortly, I think. There's a lovely reference to which says it's just like Bullet, and obviously Robert says I believe I remember it, and that's obviously a lovely in joke to Bullet. I like that one.
Oh, there was a lot of double entendres in this show. I mean, there were so many.
Yeah.
Which was fun. That's Michael. Michael likes the fun of all that, which works well.
You certainly tell Michael's love for cinema in general by throwing these little things in there.
Well, Michael's life is the cinema. Michael's life is writing these shows and everything. And now he's into his Equalizer, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The movies, and he did the series, as you know. He created the series with Edward Woodward.
Yeah.
I'm on the back of the Aston Martin.
I think we're just literally a few seconds away from. Oh, hang on, not quite. Yeah, now. If you want to press play now.
Got it.
I think we're back in sync. Yeah, that's perfect. So how did George Lazenby come into all this?
Again, Michael, you know, he wanted Bond into it. Wanted to have this noir.
Yeah.
So it worked. It worked very well. People thought that he was going to be in it much longer than he was, but he only did this cameo of the chase and getting the baddies off of their back on the wave at the end. But George again was a great guy, Superman. A lot of fun to be with. Thank you, darling. Wendy's getting me tea, Johanna. That's good. And I got this irritating, silly cough.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
That's better. Nice cup of tea.
So I assume George quite enjoyed slipping on the tuxedo again after all those years.
Yeah, I bet he did. Because George is never worked a lot in America, you know. He went back to Australia. I don't know what he did. I mean, very little. I don't think he does a lot. He went into business, I think.
I think he might go into property. I think I did hear that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. They gave us all the permission to shoot that stuff in the street. The police were marvelous with us there. Explosions.
Yeah, I did approach George's agent, and unfortunately, that George couldn't make it due to work commitments. But his manager did wish us all the best for tonight. So the Aston Martin here is obviously that was it custom built for this, or was it one that?
No, just an Aston Martin. They got it and put the GB plate on, and inserts on the dashboard.
It's a very, very good replica, because they did have quite a few cars made for Goldfinger, and they toured them around the world for several years. So I just wondered whether it might possibly be one of those cars that they managed.
When that came from, our transport manager would have probably picked it up from wherever they picked it up.
Yeah.
But it worked well.
Yeah.
There's a scene where I'm at the scene now where they see each other for the first time.
Yeah, and a nice little nod and acknowledgement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, a lovely reference by name.
It's really a great Michael scene. That, I mean,
Yeah.
that is, Michael should be doing the cameo. He should have been sitting on the roof of that car. See, but it's good entertainment, and in its day, 38 years ago, it was great entertainment.
Yeah. I just want to ask, this little arch that the cars pass under says "Live It Up Again." Was that sign there, or was that something that was put in?
No, that was there. That's there. That's downtown casinos.
Because I thought that was so apt for what we were, for the subject matter. It almost seemed like it might have been put in.
It worked for us.
It did, yeah. Yeah.
It worked for us.
And again, we have that lovely picture of Robert and David on the wall.
Yeah.
You can certainly tell the love that Michael had for the material, can't you?
Oh yeah, he lives it. He lives it, and he knows all about it. I mean, he's got a great memory for it all.
Hmm. And it's obviously quite clear that Michael is also quite a big James Bond fan because of all the references that are here.
Yeah. He has fun putting those things in as well. Michael's a fan of everything. I mean, he's a film buff. He knows everything. And a great writer. I mean, and fast. I mean, he was a fast writer. He had to be the showrunner on a lot of these shows, which he did. He produced them, and a lot of them he was the showrunner as well. He used to have to make sure that script was there every 7 days, a new script. Otherwise, we were in trouble and at a standstill. And then even when he got the scripts from the other writers, he would edit them and go over them and make sure that they were feasible to shoot, or if we were short on money, take parts out or put parts in. He was a brilliant showrunner.
Oh yeah, yeah. And obviously by this time very established with shows like The Equalizer, which probably helped to get something like this off the ground.
Equalizer was a good show. I never did any of The Equalizer because I was busy doing other things.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that Michael got the movie away, or the 2 movies away, and the books. He's got 2 books out there as well. Equalizer books.
Yeah, and hopefully they've been very profitable for him, because I know you alluded to the fact that when we talked about Brian and Albert with the Avengers, that very little money ended up in their pockets, and when the new Avengers came to an end, the money was basically divided without their input, and I think Brian did have to support Albert a little bit in his later life because he didn't have the money that he should have got for a show like this. So how they divide it all is quite interesting, really.
Yeah.
So we're just now into the Flora's tailor shop, and I noticed the shot before Robert came in was actually taken from the original series, the shot of the people walking past the
but this technically is wrong. The
Yes,
door was on the other side.
Yeah.
We used a shot there. That's not a set.
Oh right, yeah.
We used what was there. I mean, only people who were great fans of the original show would have known the door would have been on the other side.
Yeah. So it's a budgetary reason why there's that error in the.
And also, it didn't make any difference to the show at all.
No.
No one's going to say, "Oh, we can't watch this anymore. The door was on the wrong side."
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't going to worry about it, and actually, I didn't know about it until afterwards.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was on the wrong side till afterwards. I had no idea. Didn't make any difference to me at all. It's like Hitchcock with North by Northwest. The children putting their fingers in their ears when the gun went off. Hitchcock could have reshot that, but he said if they're watching that, they haven't got a film.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And again, as a fan, it does work that the dressing rooms are on the other side, because again, that could be a reflection of time, and there's a refit and the shop has changed. So of course Napoleon might have forgotten that in 15 years. So it doesn't, it's not really an error, really, if you think about the logic of the time that's gone
No,
past.
but it doesn't come into play until after it's all been aired,
Yeah,
and you start getting people with trivia and all that,
it's the annoying fans, isn't it, that sort of picking
picking
it
it
apart.
and showing how clever they are, because it didn't make any difference to the scene at all.
That's
Any
right.
difference to it at all. I personally think it was quite a funny sequence that they weren't there anymore. You know, they were now at a different store completely. I just think it was good fun that it was a genuine guy with a shop who didn't know anything about Uncle.
Yeah, it's a lovely, lovely scene, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember much about the lady who plays Janice Friday? We're seeing on the screen now. This lady called Susan Wallen.
Susan Woolen.
Wallen, yeah.
She was a writer and an actress out of Los Angeles. She didn't work an awful lot. I think she sold a couple of scripts. I think Michael brought one of her scripts at one time or the other. But I never heard anything of her after that. I think she's disappeared. Maybe she got married and had children or whatever.
Yeah.
But I never saw her in anything else. And she never came up on any of my casting lists again. You know, it's the Friday of Miss Moneypenny sort of thing.
Yes, yeah.
Again, Michael.
And with Robert, have Patrick got on quite well with these nice scenes to shoot with the two of them?
Robert Vaughan?
Oh yeah, Robert and Patrick. Did they
Yeah.
Good.
And they all had respect for each other. There wasn't any bad, there was nothing wrong at all in anything. And most of them were in awe for quite a while of Keenan Wynn when he came on.
Oh yeah.
You know, because he was a big star.
Yes.
I mean, a big star. And it was a pleasure to work with him again. He was a nice man, a very nice man. And he did very little in the show. But what he did perfectly well. But everybody was in awe of him, you know, wanted to hear his stories of the past and the old Hollywood and that, which he could do. And he used to sit and hold court in between coffee breaks and that.
So how did you manage to get him on the project?
Michael got him. Michael got him. He knew Keenan Wynn.
Yeah.
So he got him on the show, and so we were very lucky there. I've lost my show.
Oh.
I've lost it. It's gone offline. Wait a minute. It's come back, I think.
Okay.
It's come back, but I don't know where. He's playing with Patrick at the moment.
Oh yeah, that's where I've got him now. Yeah, they're having little the exposition scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite an honour to have Keenan Wynn on my list of actors that I've worked with. You know.
Yeah, I think he's one of my favourite characters in the movie.
You know, and as I say, he's in it very little. Very little. That was another photograph I sent you of me explaining a fight sequence with him and Robert Vaughan.
Yes, you did. Yes, yeah. And I think he's a very good character to have, is because obviously, again, from a character point of view, connects the old series to the old Thrush to the new Thrush.
Yes. Yeah.
We're just currently on Robert visiting Elia's.
Yeah, it's when she takes her top off.
Yes. Fun to shoot, Ray, was it?
Huh?
A fun day shoot.
I've been there, seen that, got the T-shirt.
Well done, you. Again, there's a lovely lot, a nice balance of comedy and suspense and danger, and it sort of. I mean, out of all the series of Uncle, I suppose it fits more in sort of season 2 rather than, the very over the top series 3. So I think it hits Uncle at its best, really. in terms of tone.
After we shot this first take on that, where she took her top off, I said to Robert, I said, your tie's crooked. So he started fiddling with his tie. I said, that's a joke, really. I said, your tie is crooked. I said, but who's worrying about the tie?
Yeah, yeah.
See, Michael, there at New York, you see Russian, not the Russian tea rooms, it's the Russian cafe.
Yeah, yeah, nice touch, isn't it?
Yeah. This was one of the bars in the Desert Inn.
Mm-hmm. And again, if you look at David's character in the original series, he is a very stylish, you know, he's a sort of, I think it was designed to sort of get the teenage girl audience in probably, and you could understand from his fashion sense, you know, the things that he would go into something like this. So it's a very sort of natural character progression, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is obviously a great fight scene that we're watching now. So how much would David and Robert wish to do? Because obviously they're not as young as they were.
They did quite a lot of it themselves because it wasn't anything really bad for them. They weren't getting thrown all over the place. The stuntmen were taking the falls.
Yeah.
David did that onto the back of the guy there because the guy could take his there and take him down gently. But they were both game for it. I mean, both. But I think Robert wasn't very good at throwing a punch. He didn't look very good. Like Patrick's not very good at throwing a punch.
Yeah.
But and also I was pushed to a time on this because we had to get out of this bar.
Right.
And I know that we were running very short on time on this fight sequence.
And in terms of stunt doubles, would you have used people that you'd worked before, or would it been sort of new guys coming in?
News, Gary Jensen picked up the stuntman for me. I just chose my head stunt guy, my ramrod, and then they take it over from there. You know, you usually leave it to the stunt man you choose as your stunt coordinator, and he picks the guys out to do the job, unless there's anyone I don't want. And I say I don't want that person. I don't know, you know, because I don't think he looks right or whatever it is. But normally the stunt coordinator will lay on the other stunt men and make sure that they look alike or they've got the right wig, right toupees or whatever. You see everybody here walking around. This is red hot here.
Yeah.
Supposed to be New York.
Yeah, apart from the odd palm tree, nothing else really sort of gives it away too much.
Yeah, but it's damned hot, and they got their suits on. See people there with t-shirts. The only one, the surrounding, the people I surround him by, I try to put those in costume, but I got a lot of this on a hidden camera. We hid the camera and did it on a long lens because we couldn't have got out in the street tracking this shot. It'd been impossible.
Yeah. So this obviously was kind of sort of almost guerrilla shooting. Sort of, you had permissions, I assume, but it was pretty much flying. You know.
Oh, we had permission. We had police permission and city permission to shoot on that street.
Yeah.
But so what I do is I hide the camera in a truck or somewhere or the other on a long lens and get on a 150, 250 lens and let them play it. And camera just follows them.
Yeah.
But I make sure I surround them with about 12 or 13 extras, you know, but the rest are public.
Yeah.
But usually on a long lens, you can't tell their faces because they're going to be out of focus, the public. Only the people that are close to them, which are extras, they use. You know, when you do long shots and you still shots at airports and that on a long lens, what you normally do is surround your actor with as many as you need, 5, 10, 20, 30 extras to keep them boxed in their piece of ground so the public are not in there. Some of the public get in there obviously by accident. If they're going to go to that place, they're going to go there.
Yeah.
But you surround them with the extras that know the job and know what to do. and it makes it an easier way to wing a shot. I mean, look at the heat haze there. Look at that heat haze for New York.
Yeah. I think it's very impressive sequence because most of it is, as you say, it's just one shot, and there's no cuts, there's no close-ups. It's all, you know.
Well, I've got cuts there. I did a cut from across the road.
Yeah.
Because I repositioned the camera. The camera there is on a long lens. Because their size is not changing at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, see all that heat haze in the background?
Yeah.
You know, it was about 90 out there.
Was there ever discussions to go and shoot in New York, or was that never a possibility?
No, wouldn't have come into it. They would just go up there and take all those actors, hotel bills, everything for two street scenes.
Yeah.
And also you're listening to the dialogue anyway on this. We're watching it silent, or I'm watching it silent, but normally you're watching and listening to that dialogue because it is plot.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be noticing all the things that I'm talking about now.
Well, obviously the original series never went to New York, and nobody ever cared. So,
well, you go back to the days when we used to shoot The Saint at Elstree in Boreham Wood. We never went to all these different countries. It was all on the back lot.
Yeah.
Or on long lenses. I mean, and The Saint, I mean, I've done so many Saints where I was supposed to be in Italy, I was supposed to be in Germany, Switzerland. I mean, all the time we used to do it. And that was filmmaking in those days.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford to go on locations.
Obviously earlier when Robert goes into the tailor shop, the establishing shot of the Flores is obviously taken from the original series, because obviously it wasn't a physical location, it was the MGM backlot. So you obviously had access to allowed to take shots from the original series.
Absolutely. They had all the rights for everything from any of the other shows.
Yeah.
Without rights, all you had to do if there was an actor in it, you just have to pay the actor.
Because one thing I was wondering, we're looking at this again, was obviously seeing that you obviously got the shot of the tailor shot, but I was wondering about the whip pans, you know, obviously, which used to be the globe sort of. That's
the tradition of the show. That's from the old show.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just a tradition. It's just always cut to the fast whip pan.
Yeah. Because how did you?
That was the style.
How did you achieve the whip pan in this?
It's all stock shot. When I was in the casino the first day, I just let the camera up and whipped straight across all the blackjack machines and everything. Whipped straight across.
Yeah.
And back again, and that was it. And we just used it, the same one over and over again, shortened or longer or whatever we needed it.
Yeah. It's very effective, I think. And we've got basically Q, well Z we're seeing it at the moment. Again, that's a lovely reference to Bond as well. Remember this lady at all?
Yeah, Judith. Yeah. She worked for me 2 or 3 shots. I used her on Magnum as well.
Yeah.
And I think I used her in the Hardy Boy. No, Simon and Simon. I think I used her as well. Yeah. Yeah, I think I did. I can't remember.
Would you have had much input in terms of?
Huh? Sorry.
The gadgets we're seeing here. Would you have had much input in their design, or were you?
No, art department come up with it. I go on and I say yes, I like, I don't like, move that, do this, and they do what I want. But as I walk into that one, I don't have anything to do. They've done their job. They're the art department. They're designers. They did exactly what Michael had written in the script. So I didn't have to bother about any of that.
Yeah,
that's the great thing. They give me all my toys, as I said earlier, to play with.
Definitely. One thing, question, I just going back to the whip pans again, was there ever a temptation to just take the whip pan from the original show, or did you always want to recreate it?
No, we wanted this because of the casino.
Yeah.
You know, the slot machines.
So you wanted it to give it almost like the theme of the actual show, making it unique. Oh yes, good idea. Yeah. So I always find it interesting watching the whip pans in the original TV series, because if you, again, with the invention of DVD, you can pause it and you can see some writing in the first frame, and it's the writing of one of the guest stars, the pilot episode, Fitzweaver, and they just cut it from there, put it in the show. They never noticed that they left some of the writing in it. So his name appears in every episode of as a result.
Lucky you don't want money for it.
Yeah, and so this is lovely seeing with Simon and Caroline.
Yeah, Simon's introduction to the show there.
And it's a lovely contrast between Elia's predicament and Robert's rough, and then he picks up a glass of champagne. That's a lovely moment.
Yeah. He's talking to his pen again. It seems so hokey now. I mean, it really does.
Yeah, I think Mouth Mouth was one of those shows that you would find it difficult to remake, I think, because what they have now, and how would you make it?
Well, now you'd have an implant in the ear, or on a button, the microphone would be invisible.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in that day, 15 years after they'd used the pen, they could have had something else instead of the pen. But no, it worked, and it was funny when, you know, he said, I haven't spoken to my pen for a long time.
Yeah.
They're great, nice things what Michael's got in there.
And I assume David would have quite liked playing this character, somebody different, have a go at.
Well, all actors like dressing up to do it another way. All actors like coming out of character. It shows another facet of their craft.
Do you happen to know if Robert and David signed on pretty much at the same time, or one was a bit hesitant, or were they both really game?
No idea. No idea. Michael would have been the one known that. He was the exec producer on it, and so he would have been putting all that together to hand it over into my lap, so I didn't have to get involved in any of that.
Yeah,
that's the greatest thing about being a director on these shows, especially with Michael. You go there, and you get your camera, and you've got your script. You know where you're going to go and what you're going to do. You don't have to worry about all this. You know, you've done your casting, you've done everything. That's the great thing. Let them have the headaches.
Yeah.
All the meetings with the big bosses. Simon looks good there, but I mean, and in this day and age, when we saw him earlier today, I mean, he looks very good.
Yes, he does, doesn't he? Yeah.
I mean, he's never stopped work. He's never stopped work. No. I used to love him, like him in what was it? Bellamy. He used to play in Upstairs Downstairs.
Oh yes, Upstairs Downstairs. Yeah.
So I like him in that, but he never stops work, ever, ever. But he's money in the bank. You see, you know that he's going to be able to cope with whatever you throw at him.
Again, having actors of his caliber, of course, just makes your job, you know, easier.
Oh, daylight. I mean, it's so good. You know, they've got their script. They're going to know it. They're going to come in and they're going to do it. And you know, it's all I have to do: put camera angles on them and make sure it's the tempo and the beat I want for the show that's going to cut together. Makes life so much easier than having to give it acting lessons, which sometimes happens on the set. You know.
Yeah.
Especially on a series where you've got the narrative established, and you've got to keep these actors in it, and you got a strange actor come in. You as the director know exactly where the show is going and where it's been and what's it, but you've got a poor actor who's come in right out of the blue, doesn't know anybody, and he's got to play a scene that fits in with it.
Yeah. And would you have liked to have used Caroline a bit more than you actually did? Was there anything cut down, or was it just literally
No, nothing was cut down. I mean, no, that was the part, unfortunately. But fortunately, we got a named actress to do it. You know, a part that size, we could have easily have gone for someone who wasn't known. But luckily, I got a name. You know, I got Carolyn in there, which often happens. I get lucky because that guy who's holding there, that was my stunt coordinator, Gary Jensen. They're on the right.
Yeah.
So he was the one who chose the other stuntman for me. Okay. Silly cough. I've had two. If I was shooting that again, I wouldn't let him have that hat on.
Yes.
Hat, because it went crooked and that looked a bit silly there.
Yeah. No, I think it's quite a nice little character sort of touch to have the hat, and it's part of his persona. So did you find that the fact that it was the Man from U.N.C.L.E. made it easier to get the bigger names on this one? It had with its cachet.
Say again.
Oh, well, did you find that when it came to casting, the fact it was the Man from U.N.C.L.E., did that people think, oh, Man from U.N.C.L.E., I want to like to be in the Man from U.N.C.L.E.? Did that help to get these big names like Simon and Anthony and?
I don't know that it did, because they weren't parts which, when they read the script, they were parts that they knew they would be in if it went back into a series. They were one-time parts.
Yeah, yeah.
So no, I think it was just the fact that they wanted to work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't think it was the attraction of the Man from U.N.C.L.E. And a lot of them wanted to work because of Michael, because they knew Michael.
Yeah.
They liked working with Michael. Most actors like working with Michael. And in those days, they get a call from Michael. They knew it was probably going to be good news, you know.
Yeah.
Because so many actors, you know, which you use in these series and that, suddenly they disappear. And they've gone forever and you never hear of them again.
Yeah, so not the case with this at all, is it?
Yeah.
Did you find that David and Robert would hang out on set a lot?
No, never. Never. Robert just used to sit and read. David would mix with the crew, wander around and have chats and one thing and another, or hang around the camera. But Robert wouldn't. Robert just used to do his own thing. But once you called him, he was there. He was on the money.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Because I think Robert at this time was obviously done his doctorate and everything, and so I think he was going to then do some lecturing at a university shortly after this. So I'm sure his mind was on other things.
Yeah, I think you're right.
From what I hear, also it was based on the TV series. He was always in his book studying, and and I don't believe that Robert and David really had seen much of each other really in that 15 years, apart from perhaps the odd event that they might have both been invited to. So it wasn't I
don't know, because I don't think the reunions and that, I don't think either of these two went to any of the reunions.
Yeah.
I don't think they did. The reunions, I understand, weren't very successful on this. And that would have been mainly because of these two.
Yeah.
No, they weren't close at all.
No. And also they got on very, very, very well. So it wasn't like, say, Robert, it wasn't like Roger Moore and Tony Curtis, where they had a bit of friction. They got on very well on set, it always seemed.
Yeah. lot of English actors are different than actors out in other places in the world. English actors are usually pretty close.
Yeah.
It's more of a fraternity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the work were obviously quite different, because I think Robert spent a lot of time in the UK. He did obviously 7 or 8 years of Hustle. That was a popular TV series over here, and then he did. I think he was over here for 6 months or so doing a play. I think he was doing 12 Angry Men that I did go and I saw that twice in the West End, and I think he always loved being in the UK, and obviously David, went over to America, kind of sort of, opposites in that respect.
Yeah.
Just a comment from Ian. He says, from what I remember reading, Robert Vaughan was working on his doctorate thesis while making the original Uncle. It was called Only Victims, about the Hollywood Red Scare blacklists, which is still available as a paperback book. That sounds quite interesting.
It was called what?
It was called Only Victims, and that was about the Hollywood Red Scare blacklists. So that would also been in the 50s, I assume.
Well, the communists.
The Red Scare blacklist. Yeah.
But there's been lots of books about that. Lots of books.
So obviously we've got the heavy on screen now. So
that's back direct in that shot.
So again, we were saying it was a nice guy to work with.
Oh, he is, and he was a gentle giant. I used him many times.
Oh, good. Yeah, he's another one that's sadly no longer with us.
This is the other one where I sent you. I think no. I thought this. No.
Of course, we're now seeing Jeffrey Lewis on screen as Janice. Do you remember Jeffrey Lewis at all?
Yeah. Jeffrey died very, very young.
Yes, he did.
Very young. It was very sad. He was a nice man, a very nice man. He worked for me on something else as well. I think it was Fall Guy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But he was a nice man. I was very surprised when I heard that he passed on. Very surprised. See, David loves dressing up.
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't recognize him, you see. Later on, he recognizes him. I guess it's the moustache.
Yeah. This is quite a nice. This is a good set. Is this location, or is this being a set?
This is Hoover Dam.
Hoover Dam.
All this stuff is shot inside Hoover Dam. All that technology and that all belongs to the dam, although we're saying it belongs to Thrush.
Yeah.
But it's it's a split location, It was very interesting working in that dam.
And was it easy to get the permission for that?
Again, it wasn't my problem. I just said I wanted it. It would be a good place for it. Michael agreed, and the production and location manager down in Vegas started work on it, and they did a deal and got us in there. It was a big shoot. I mean, heck of a job for Conan Camp, because that was a big lighting job in that generator room there.
Yes. Yeah.
Heck of a lighting job. But we had that, and we had lots of extras, and some of the extras weren't very good. They were Las Vegas extras, because we obviously don't bring extras down from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So we're picking up local talent, and a lot of the outfits, the red and the blue outfits, didn't fit properly, and the hats were the wrong sizes, and we couldn't get the hats to fit. So it was a bit of a mishmash when we were doing that.
I wanted to ask you, Ray, about the production designer Herman Zimmerman, because obviously he went on to do huge amounts of work for Star Trek. What was he like to work with?
Fine, fine. Again, you know, we only have the virtually 1 or 2 meetings, and then I walk on the set, or the actor comes on the stage dressed, and I see their work, and I'm either very happy or I'm asking for changes. I don't think I asked for one change on any of that, and I don't think Michael did either.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, I must mention that the music, Gerald Fried obviously did the score,
Yeah.
and of course he did the original series as well. Again, I assume it's a conscious decision to have that continuity with both shows.
Yes, and also, you know, in this, you can hear the dialogue. Things are being made today, you can't hear the dialogue. The music is so loud, and a lot of it is not music. It's just orchestrations. It's just a one note or a cymbal rattling in the background. I mean, it's atmospheric music. It's terrible these days, and as I say, most of the time you can't hear the dialogue.
Yeah, I often wonder why. Yeah, because I think a lot of people complain after they've seen shows broadcast that they couldn't hear the dialogue. That the
producers, it's the producers and editors don't know what they're doing,
right.
and the directors are not strong enough when they do the music spot to turn around and say no.
Yeah.
No, you know, I'm used to I learned my career, my music spotting with Laurie Johnson. And I know when music goes under dialogue and when music goes over dialogue. I know when music should interrupt and when not to do Mickey Mouse music and things like that. But now they don't seem to know. They really don't know. The producers that do these shows with all this noise now have got no idea. And some of them have just got a thump all the time to it. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
It does not make sense. It doesn't do anything to the show. You'd be better off with just leaving it as an effects track.
Yeah.
You know, be much better off just leaving it as an effects track. Because the effects mean much more than the music.
Yeah. I think nowadays a lot of programs tend to be overproduced. They're just sort of, they're too glossy, they're too finished.
Well, there's a lot of producers on the shows these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can count them up. Sometimes you've got 16 producers doing a show.
I was watching something yesterday and I was literally counting the producers, and I think I got to about 20 before I stopped counting. And it was like, well,
Yeah, well, this was Michael was the executive producer and producer on this, and the writer. I think there was one other. Watts was another associate producer on, and that was it. And that's all. You haven't got all these people putting their oar in and ruining the show.
Would you have given Gerald many notes musically, or again, you wouldn't have needed it probably?
No, because the composers usually know exactly what they're up to. Certain times I've asked for a music sting on something when something happened, the door opened, and I want a little music sting there or something, providing I didn't get into the habit of, as I say, doing Mickey Mouse things, you know.
Yeah.
Like footsteps with drum beats going across the room, something silly like that. No, I had a good teacher in people like Laurie Johnson that taught me what I need to know music. I've never really had to say anything to a composer that I didn't like the music or wanted it changed ever.
Was it a concern for you to have the music to feel quite modern and therefore obviously quite 80s, because the score does have a very 80s sound, and perhaps is one of the things that is brilliant about the movie, but also perhaps dates it a little bit? Did you know if that was just something?
Well, I think he jumped forward 15 years.
Yeah.
And he knew how to jump forward 15 years. So I think that was his doing, and it worked very well for me.
Yeah.
Because I found that it was playing perfect to the situation every time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, you know, you're not in the 60s anymore. It has a more modern feel.
Yes.
But at the same time, he uses his I iconic bongos and things that he used to use in the original series. So there is that. I think it's very balanced, beautifully balanced between
Oh yeah,
an old and a new style.
he had good ticking clock music, building the tension, building the tension. Would it be the right wire? Would it be the right wire? Was it the red wire? You know. So I think all that worked perfectly well for him. Perfectly well.
I do wonder why the soundtrack was never released for this movie, because the TV series, there's a few albums that were done a few years ago, so maybe I don't know if the music still exists or not. But
I don't know. I've never got into that aspect of it. As I say, I'm lucky enough to have had producers like Michael Sloan who take all that worry away from me and give me all these toys and a camera and tell me to go and play and make the movie. Very lucky. Than have someone sitting there breathing down my neck. Which a lot of producers will do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. In the end, you've got a show that's directed by about 3 different people. Although only one person's getting credit for it, or credit they don't really want because the producers have messed it up doing things.
Did have a good question come through from Ian. He says that most of the shows you worked on still have fans today. Why do you think these old shows have an afterlife, whereas I suspect most modern drama series won't have in the future?
Well, Ian, they had good stories. I mean, the content, the narrative of most of the shows that I did, even going back to the Magnums and the Hawaii Five-0, they all had good stories, which always warranted a follow-up, even though it was a different episode. And I think that's one of the reasons that we captured an audience there that liked it. I mean, I don't know whether Ian was with us when we did the 50th anniversary of the Avengers down in Chichester. The younger generation that were the fans of the Avengers was absolutely incredible, and they loved the stories, and that's why they wanted the follow-ups. I think the narratives which the writers put on for some of these new shows, a lot of the new shows, they end peculiarly. I mean, suddenly it's the end and you think, wait a minute, why is that the end? What happened? And they just end for some reason or the other. And also the longevity of the actors and the characters that they used to make, you wanted to follow. You know, Greg Everett as BJ and the Bear, you always wanted to find out what he did next, or you know, Hawaii Five-0, you wanted to find out what Jack Lord did next. So you were ready to follow that character. A lot of the characters in the new things we see, I don't really care what happens to them next, because I've been recasting them mentally from the beginning of the episode, saying, you know, I wouldn't have cast him. I think he was wrong or she was wrong. I don't know, Ian. I think it's a good point, but that's the only answer I have.
Yeah, I think he was probably just made better back then. I think there was more, you know, I think of television production now, it's very few shows have any budget, and it's, I think it was more of a sort of a golden age from in terms of creativity and everything. So I think it was just something very special about the 60s, 70s, and 80s in terms of how it was produced. Really, it's difficult to put, as you say, difficult to put your finger on it. Really.
Did that answer Ian's question, or does he have another reason?
I think he has another question, but oh yes, he says. He says, I grew up with all these wonderful shows that you were involved in. I also think that the old performers have more charisma than many modern performers. So
that's what I'm trying to say. He's absolutely right.
Yeah,
he's absolutely right. I mean, there's one show that I did, again, another Michael Sloan show, was called The Master with Lee Van Cleef, which is about ninjas.
Right.
Now, it wasn't a very terrific show because Kung Fu, again, Michael Sloan, Kung Fu was a great show, but Lee Van Cleef in The Master was a great character.
Hmm.
You know, he disappeared from America and went to Spain and started doing spaghetti westerns. So he lost his standing. Then he came back again because he was a good bad guy in westerns.
Yeah.
But Lee Van Cleef in The Master gathered a following so fast it's not true. The series never went for, I think we did 1 or 2 seasons. But he's the sort of character that Ian's talking about that you grab onto. I think that's a good character. I want to follow this guy, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. That investment that we need you to have. I was just before the scene we're watching now. Tom Mason does a handstand, and I wonder where that was an ad lib on his part, where that was always.
That was him. That was him.
Yeah.
That was him. I had no problem with it. I've seen people stand on their head, clear their brain. And also it kept the scene moving.
Yeah.
Kept the dialogue moving.
And as we alluded to earlier with Simon's comments, these weren't perhaps the most comfortable shots that they had to do on the episodes.
Well, it's comfortable now because they're standing on a box.
Yeah.
It's only the long shot where I had to get them to hang there for me for as long as they could, you know. But if you notice, they're holding the chain as well. Then it's not just holding the wrist; they've got the chain around their wrist as well. So it's not too bad.
They wouldn't have had a wire; it would just be their own strength.
No, they didn't need it. And also, they're actors. They're good actors. You know, they suffer a lot for things. They're not mamby-pamby who want cushions everywhere and things like that.
Yeah.
They're playing the part. It gets them in the character. And it takes a long time to shoot this because, as you see, there's long shots, there's 2 shots, there's singles. So they're messing around with it for most of the morning. This shot, or this sequence.
Oh, yeah, I don't know whether modern actors would want to sort of, you know, do that. They might say, "Well, get a stunt double or put me on a wire," or you know.
No, not for a thing like that. They wouldn't. They wouldn't do it on that, you know, because as I say, most of the time on the close up, they're standing on boxes anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going out for a walk around the garden.
You're going for a walk around the garden. Wendy's going for a walk around the garden.
Hello.
Hello, Wendy.
Can't see. Duck down a bit. Duck down a bit. You see.
Hello. How are you doing?
Everybody, this is Wendy.
This is
my wife.
Yes.
Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you too. I'm going for a walk around the garden.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Goodbye. Luckily, we didn't get knocked off at all here.
No,
it's brightened up in the sun now.
Yeah, yes, it seems to be all right here too. So that should be all right for the end of it. Yeah. I was wondering. I think probably the biggest star at this point was probably Anthony Zerbe. Again, what was it like to work with Anthony?
No, a gem, no problem at all. A gem, you know. Again, knew his lines and everything without any problem at all.
Yeah,
they're pros, you know. They're all, everybody on this, and most of the people I worked with for my whole career were pros. I never really had any trouble with any actors at all, ever.
And I assume you never went through a starstruck phase of anybody. I suppose growing up with Cary Grant, as you're driving Cary Grant around and stuff, you were kind of, you know, very used to big stars around you all the time.
I was, and I mixed with most of the stars, you know. And early days in Hollywood, I became friends with Roddy McDowall. So therefore, I used to go to his house. So I was always with Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney, Roddy McDowall, and the sort of people from those days, from that era. You know, and the old musical and the old song. You know, last time I was there was for Thanksgiving, and I sat next to Ann Miller, who a lot of people would not know. She was a very long-legged lady with a great dancer. Judy Garland, I was always with Judy. So I grew up with a lot of these stars, you know. And the only home bringing I had, I used to have my daughter Johanna used to travel a lot with me in those days, so she was on the set with me or in my motorhome around these people as well. So I was in this clique of people, so I got used to the names and everything. I mean, not the very first time. I mean, I've said to you before and told the story about, well, I think I have, about being a little boy growing up in London with the bombs and going to the cinema. I think I told you and your viewers that story.
Do you want to tell it again briefly for those that weren't with us last time?
Well, again, no, I did tell it because I asked the average age of the audience because they wouldn't know who I'm talking about. So I did tell it.
Yeah.
And one gentleman came back and said he was 64 and he knew exactly what I was talking about. So I won't go into it because it's a long story. And if there are people that are youngsters in it, they don't know who I'm talking about. And they're thinking, like Wendy says to me, they don't know who you're talking about. But I usually start that off when I do lectures and things with that part of the story because it sums it all up, the stars and the names and everything. You know, that's the other thing I liked. The buckle with the acetylene torch.
Oh
the hands off. We couldn't get the flame to turn blue because when it turned blue, you couldn't see it.
Right.
So we had to settle for the yellow flame. Then you knew what it was doing. But the blue one wouldn't show up.
Yeah. And again, we've got the assault on the Hoover Dam. And again, this must have been quite a fun thing with all the speed routes and.
It went on and on. I think we were 2 days doing it. It just went on and on and on.
That's a lot of stuff to do in 2 days, isn't it?
This was a fun shot to do. Them all arriving. Yeah, all these extras, except for about 6 of them, are all out of Las Vegas. Because a lot of filming goes on in Las Vegas, so they've got an extra union down there.
All right.
The extras, you know.
Yeah. And in these scenes inside the dam with Robert, there's a lot of use of stunt double for Robert. So was he not always available, or was it just cost effective to do most of it?
No, a lot of the stuff you just didn't want him to do it in case he got hurt, and we're all out of work.
Yeah.
No, but I think Robert and David enjoyed this part of it more than anything. All the rushing around and gunfire and everything. It was a lot of fun.
And of course, he's got a new version of the Uncle Gun, the extendable one. Again, I assume you didn't want to use the original guns because, again,
no time factor.
Time factor, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a slight continuity error that one of my viewers pointed out, where he has the gun with the grenades, and which he drops his usual gun, and in the shots now he's got the other gun again. So I don't know whether these were inserts or whether you added in it, whether
Don't know. It's news to me. I never noticed it, but I'm not going to go back and reshoot it.
Oh no, it's a small thing at the end of the day, but because would you have shot Robert's stuff at the same time, or would you have sort of done all the long shots and then worked out what I need Robert to do?
No, on this, all this stuff I had to go in continuity.
Yeah.
As it happens, otherwise you get in such a mess by trying to jump forward and please someone and get them off early or something or the other.
Yeah.
And you get in a hell of a mess, because then when you come to do it for real, you find out they're not standing where they would have been, or there wouldn't have been that many people there, or whatever. It's very dangerous to do an action sequence out of continuity. Very dangerous.
The actor that Robert's just knocked out, we don't think we mentioned as of yet. He plays Alexei Kemp, John Harkins. I don't know if you remember John at all.
Yes.
Again, it's a nice little part that he has in this one. Again, a small one, but a very memorable one.
Yeah. But you see what I mean when you do an action sequence, you can get really yourself into a real mess.
Mm.
Especially with that many, because I had about 80 people there.
Yes, yes.
My blues and my reds and the actual actors and the principals.
Mm.
And once you got all this milling around and the stuntman's lined it all up for where they're going to come down the ropes and all this,
Yeah.
unless you know where they're going to be on that, you can't shoot something out of sequence.
No.
You can only shoot it as it happens.
Yeah.
And decide where you're going to need to put the close-ups and where you're not.
Mm.
Because if you leave it till the end, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Did you have to shoot at particular times of day in the Hoover Dam, or were they very accommodating?
No, we had it from as much as we wanted. We were in there. I was in there prepping at 6 in the morning.
Hmm.
I had to leave the hotel at 4:30 because it's quite a long way out from where we were staying in Vegas.
And you say that all the crew and cast were staying at Caesar's Palace. That was where you were based.
There are lots of different hotels. The directors and producers was at Caesar's.
Hmm. And were the scenes in the cave we're seeing now, were they shot close to Hoover Dam?
No, there was a cave.
Yeah, well, yeah. Do you know roughly where? I assume it's quite close to Las Vegas, or.
Oh yeah, it was close. Yeah.
Yeah. And I did hear one story about David when he was shooting the cave scenes, that there was a rock that was in the way of where a stunt was going to be performed. So instead of sort of doing what a big Hollywood star has said, to somebody, would you move it? He went and did it himself, and so he was, quite sort of, just seemed like he was quite a down to earth sort of person.
No, I don't remember that. No, I don't remember that.
Obviously, these are people who they say with no egos. They're very sort of easy people to.
No, we were all a family on this show. We were all a family. There was no outsiders on it at all.
Hmm. Would you have had much time to hang out with people after the day shooting, or were you then preparing the next? I assume you just.
No, that's the sad thing. Once you finish it, you're gone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You're
gone on to your next project, and the night before you finish this, you're probably reading the script on the next show you're going to go and make.
Hmm. Did you ever find that a bit difficult to sort of be with people for a very intense period of time, and then suddenly you've got new faces? Did that take something to get used to, or?
No, it used to take because whenever I moved shows, I inherited a new crew and new actors, and it's usually about 150 people.
Hmm.
So I finish this show, any show, and I go to another studio or another set or whatever it was, and I inherit a new 150 people. And when you walk through the door, minus the actors that aren't there that day, they're standing there looking at you saying, okay, boss, what do you want us to do?
Yeah.
So it's quite it's not the word frightening, intimidating as a director when you go on to a new crew. No one you've worked with before. You may have worked with someone before. There's a whole new batch of people which you suddenly are given and say, go to work. And you're responsible from then on to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be ready to call those shots every time you finish one shot. You've got to be ready to call the next shot. So it's very intimidating sometimes.
Hmm.
And everybody's waiting for your word.
Yeah.
What do we do next? What do we do next?
You've always, I assume you've always enjoyed that challenge of being the guy at the top and coming up with that solution, and it must be quite rewarding too when it comes
Oh,
to you.
it is. It is. It is. It's very satisfying when you shoot the last shot of that show. And, you know, on a show like this, I've called probably, you know, 600-700 shots, setups.
Yeah.
You know, all come straight out of your head while you're standing there working out your next setup and what you have to do.
Mm.
So you just have to keep inventing them, and the new angles and new camera angles.
I mean, the fact this scene is shot in an actual cave, and obviously you're having quite a, you know, an intense fist fight. I take it that the stunt performers were padded, and because obviously you couldn't do anything to the
Yeah, they
floor.
wear the hip pads, elbow pads, back
Mm.
pads where they can.
Yeah.
In the old movies, all the baddies and the actors always used to wear a hat,
Mm.
so it was easy to double them.
Yes.
And the hats never used to come off in the fight.
I was talking to Sid. I did one of these with Sid a couple of weeks, not the one that you came on for, but the previous one we did Murdersville, and at the end of the fight, Emma Peel wears a knight's helmet, and that's partly to hide the fact that Sid was doing a lot of the doubling. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we're getting to a very good action sequence between Robert and the character Guido. What was that like to shoot? Did Robert enjoy doing that kind of scene?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no problem. It's good as gold.
Hmm.
But bear in mind, through the whole series, you've done many fight sequences.
Hmm.
Many fight sequences.
And as you say, everybody was up for doing more after this. I think I did read an interview at the time that I think inevitably Robert and David were asked during the promotional tour of this, or will you do another series? And I think they said, we would like to do more specials, but I don't think they wanted to do a 26 episode sort of deal, which is obviously fair enough. It was the ideal situation to do more 90 minutes like this one.
No, I think my idea of just going back to doing the hour show. That's what network were looking for at that stage.
Yeah.
But I think if the network would have said yes, I think those two would have joined in. They'd have done it.
Yeah.
No matter what publicity they put out, I'm sure they would have gone for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they would have wanted to do a huge number of series, but I could see them doing one or two, certainly. Because it is, in many respects, sort of, from a script point of view, almost designed as sort of like a backdoor pilot, isn't it? It's designed to launch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. See if we could get our audience back, but someone decided it wasn't going to happen, so it wasn't done.
Yeah, because obviously with Anthony Zerbe's character, as you say, flies off into the sunset, it's all kind of set up, and of course at the end with Air Force One and they're called back to deal with that, it's all right there, isn't it, ready to go?
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, did you think it stood a good chance, or were you kind of
Well, in those days, I thought it was a good chance, but seeing it now is very unfair to ask that, because this is so dated.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so dated now. I mean, I don't think, even though if you bring this up to the modern day, I don't think it will work. I really don't think it will work.
Why do you think this? Because this is so. I mean, obviously we did say obviously the music and obviously some of the fashions, but why do you think it sort of screams 1983 at people?
What, the dating of it?
Yeah. Why do you think this one is a bit dated compared to perhaps some of your other?
The main thing is the costumes.
Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as you start watching this show, the
Mm.
costumes are so retros, they're so out of date, it throws you immediately.
Mm.
It says, you know, this is out of date. Boy, this is old.
Yeah.
All our other stuff, everything works.
Mm. Did you and Michael ever just throw ideas around of where you'd like to take these characters next, or did you not get to that stage?
Well, yeah, we have many times on different things.
Hmm.
But you know, Michael's had his things to do, and I've drifted away and did other things. But we always came back together and did other things.
Yeah.
And in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, Michael's come through to me with scripts. Would I direct this if he got it away? With some nice scripts he's come back with, but he hasn't managed to pull those off or get those away. But he's been very busy, remember, with Equalizer and that, so he's excused for not pushing it.
I mean, would you come out of a retirement for Michael Sloan's script, or?
I don't think I could do the schedule anymore. Philip. I think my age, you know, this is very tiring.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
I'm out of my hotel room usually at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm doing my first shot at 7 o'clock. I'm wrapping at 6:30. I'm going back to the hotel. I'm doing my homework for the next day and holding meetings about the next day. So it means I hit the pillow about 11 o'clock.
Right.
And that's 6 days a week. It's hard. It's very hard.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I don't think I could movie. I could do a movie, but episodical.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't do 6, 7 day shows. I mean, the rate of hours you have to put in when you do Magnums and Simon and Simon, the Hardy Boys, and shows like that, Quincy, you go all the time. As soon as you put down the script, there's another script there, and you're away doing another show.
And was that the main reason behind you retiring in the late 90s from directing?
Yes, yeah. I used to do some things that I really wanted to do, but it started to get to me. I used to get a bit tired and needed to rest, and I'd done so much traveling in the last years of my career all around the world: South Africa, New Zealand, France, Germany, England, California. I was all over the place with these shows.
Yeah.
I was going backwards and forwards to France doing the Highlander, and then backed up with Police Academy, the Highlander and Police Academy back in Vancouver. I didn't have time to breathe.
Yeah, yeah. We did have a very quick question that came in. Do you remember where this scene was shot? Was this the same bar?
Same bar as the one we used before at the Desert Inn. Yeah.
And now that we're coming to the end of the, I mean, obviously, apart from the fact that it feels a little bit dated, overall, are you happy with the final product?
Oh yes, absolutely. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got good reviews on it. No, I'm very happy with it. Very happy with it.
And it got good ratings at the time, I believe, or perhaps maybe not quite as much as it needed, but it did quite well.
Yeah, it did. It did. There'll always be someone who doesn't like, but the majority on this, people liked, and they liked very much, which was good. Good for us anyway.
I mean, I think it's a real love letter to the Man from U.N.C.L.E. and films in general, and it's, you know, I said this to Michael when we did our little rehearsal for tonight, and it's a beautiful piece of writing, I think, on his part, and the love he has for the material just jumps out at you, I think, in every scene. So marvelous, and that lovely photograph of them at the end, handshake with Michael and Robert and Dave. That's nice. Nice. Do you have any final comments about the movie or anything we haven't touched on that you wanted to say?
No, I mean, I'm just glad that there is an audience out there still, and people still like it, because it's very good that audience is still there.
Yeah.
I'm just pleased that people still enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. We did have one question come in to say, did you watch the Henry Cavill and Arnie Hammer film that came out a few years ago?
No.
Was that a conscious decision, or just you haven't?
No, I don't think I was in a position to watch it. I think I was away. I think I was away. I think I was in New Zealand.
Yeah.
No.
Because I think it is if you do get a chance to see it, it's on Netflix and lots of other platforms, and it's not really The Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's more of I think it's set before the series began, so it's their first sort of meeting, and it's a good film, but it doesn't have, it could perhaps be any sort of, buddy comedy, but it's a good film in itself. And I did ask Michael whether he'd seen it or not, and I think he consciously avoided it because he heard that it wasn't like the old series, and it wasn't. But one interesting thing about the new film, I told Michael, was that there's a little scene where Evie's character is dressing the female lead. They go to a little dress shop, and he picks out her outfits, and of course that is a reference to this film. So there is a conscious link. Somebody out there appreciates it, so I thought that that was part of the production team, which I thought was good. I'm just going to quickly go through any questions we've got before we wrap up. I think a lot of it we probably mentioned. Mentioned that one. We covered that one. One question Ian did ask why there wasn't another Man from U.N.C.L.E. television movie after this one. I think we kind of covered that. When I spoke to Michael, though, I did ask him whether he thought there was going to be more adventures, and I think he said to me that he always thought this was going to be a one-off, even though he probably hoped that it was going to be more. I think he thought it was kind of just a one-shot deal. From a realistic point of view, rather than his heart.
I think he's right, absolutely right. But it would have been nice to have it go on to be picked up as a series again. Yeah. But I think once it was out and it was run, we knew that it wasn't going to. But it would have been nice, I must admit.
Additionally, Ian Fryer wanted to know, because obviously you have Fred and Gerald on continuity from the original series. Did you want to bring back anyone else from the original series that you couldn't, or?
No. And again, that was all left up to Michael at the beginning of that, before I ever arrived and picked up my script and moved on to the set and started shooting.
Yeah.
But I would have been happy with whoever they wanted in it, because it was a good cast in the original.
Yeah. One thing I think I'll try and ask Michael is why Norman Felton and Sam Wolf weren't involved in the project. So obviously they were the original creators and production runners for the original series. But
mainly because Michael was the one who fought to get it away.
Yeah.
They virtually walked away from it.
Oh yeah, they've moved on, haven't they?
They moved on. Michael had moved on, but Michael had a thing about The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and thought he saw there was a chance of having another go at it. And so he was the one that spent the hours and pushed and came up with the script and the storyline to create the 15 Years After affair. Yeah. They weren't involved with that. Why should they be? He was the one that did all the work. He did the groundwork on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
On lots of the things he did the groundwork.
And a question from Robert, but I think we know the answer to this one. He said, who was the technical advisor, who was the go-to guy for info regarding the original U.N.C.L.E. series? And again, it's Michael, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. He was the one who researched it, and went from that.
Yeah, I think he from what he was telling me, he'd watched it from the very first episode and was, it looked like yourself, he didn't need to rewatch it all because it was in there, ingrained on his memory.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's anything else.
I think I let them all go to bed now.
Oh, I just have one question. Ian McCallum said it's a shame that only one season was made of Return of the Saint. Do you happen to know why it was just a one series?
Well, I mean, did he watch it?
Didn't you like it?
It wasn't very good. It wasn't very good.
No.
I mean, and also that actor is quite a good actor. I think he was badly directed. I don't think he had the charisma put into it like we know Simon Templar has.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good show. It wasn't a good show. If it had been, it would have picked up. It would have picked up. And bear in mind, there's been lots of saints going way back to George.
George Scott. George C. Scott.
No.
Sanders. George Sanders.
George Sanders.
Yeah.
His brother, Tom Conway, used to play the Falcon, and George played the Saint. Bear in mind that when the Saint started out, he wasn't a very nice character.
Yeah.
And he was a vicious character. It was the Rogers and the people that took it over that made the Saint a folk hero sort of thing, the Robin Hood.
Yeah.
But if you watch that Return of the Saint, now wait a minute. No, I've got this wrong. I've got this wrong. The Return of the Saint was with Ian Ogilvy.
Oh yes, that's right.
That was good. There's no problem with that. That could have gone on. That could have gone on. And I shot the pilot of that. I shot the first 4 hours of that with Ian. I'm talking about what I thought you were talking about, the new Return of the Saint, the one that's just within the last 2 or 3 years.
Oh yeah, the one that Roger Moore has a cameo in. Yeah.
Correct.
That one, yeah.
I'm not talking about the Ian Ogilvy one. That had all the potential of staying on and running. Why? I do not know. It may have been because Bob Baker was getting not too well in those days. I don't know, but no, Ian Ogilvy did a great job as the Saint. He could have been. He had it nailed. He had it nailed. It was great. I'm talking about the one that came out a couple of years or so ago with a nice actor. I've seen him do other stuff, but Saint, he was not. A Saint, he was not. And the show, I don't know what they called it. I think they just called it the Saint again. I don't even think they called it the Saint. Ian's was the Return of the Saint. No problem with that at all. Good show. I messed that up. I'm sorry about that. But I think the other one that didn't even resemble the Saint.
No, I don't think it did. From what I've seen of it, it doesn't seem to have done. I suppose it's like Ran Hot Kurt Deceased. Obviously, in America, it was called My Partner's a Ghost, but obviously that was a good series, and that only ran for one series. So, again, not sure why that was. What else do we have? Oh yes, Ian Fires pointed out that Robert Vaughan in the Las Vegas scenes is wearing a suit that's very similar to what he wears in Bullet. I don't know if you it's a double-breasted suit that he's wearing. So well spotted, Ian. Double-breasted racecoat. He said it's similar to one he wears in Bullet. He obviously says that the part of the MGM backlot which contained the outside of the floors had burned down in a fire at MGM in 1967. Which that's what explains why we don't really see the tailor shop in the 4th season of the series. That's a good fact. Almost at the end. Oh, so Cynthia said that she loved hearing the stories about the dam. So that's glad you enjoyed those, Cynthia. And Ian says that he enjoyed the Master that we were talking about earlier, and said it was recently released on Blu-ray.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
That's out there. And Ian Fry said the tracking shot of Vaughan running through the tunnel is really nice. I saw the original CBS Tuesday night movie trailer for the film, and they used that shot. I think that trailer might actually be on YouTube. Actually, I'm going to find that for you. Ian McCallum has got a good question here. Do you think it's more difficult to make a drama series today because you have to be careful not to offend various people? Do you think there's more constraints, so you've got to be more careful than you were perhaps in?
No, I don't think so, because bear in mind, once they become famous people, or they do something bad or whatever, they become public domain. So I mean, no one can touch you on it. You go for it. So no, I don't think there's any difference at all. It's just a matter of choosing which people you want to glorify or portray. I think it's a good point, but no, I think it's irrelevant that now.
Do you find there's a responsibility in your work to sort of portray things in a certain manner, sensitive subjects? Do you feel the responsibility as a director?
Oh yeah. That's why I quietened down. I didn't want to do too much more action. That's why I went over to things like Our House and Zorro, because I wanted to come away from action and killing and car crashing and one thing and another. And Our House with Wilfred Brimley I did for 2 years.
Yeah.
And with the grandchildren, it was a nice show for me to do. Then I did Zorro, and as you know, we never kill anyone in Zorro. It was a good show to do with good morals. Not that I am trying to be a preacher about this. For me, I just had enough of every time I got a script, somewhere in the other, I've turned a page and the car blew up, or someone was speared, or someone fell off a roof, or they were grotted. And I got fed up. I wanted to do change my line, and I did. And that's the way I went out, except I did go and do Jag, because Jag was okay. That was different. That was a new, fresh subject for me, military and the planes and all that. I liked that very much as well. Just pure action. I wanted to get away from that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's understandable. This might be an interesting question. Of all these series you worked on in your career, do you think any could be revived successfully these days?
Do I say again?
Of all the shows you worked on in your career, is there any that you think could be revived successfully these days, or do you think it's best not to touch them?
I don't know.
I think they're probably best left. I think like the Avengers. Who else can play Steve apart from Patrick McNee? And I think you could perhaps, like Uncle, see what it is like in 15 years later to be in the same organization, but to recast and have somebody else playing those parts, I don't think would be a good idea.
See, the ones that have done it, it hasn't really worked as far as I'm concerned, because you take the remake of Magnum, it has no comparison to what we did with the Magnum show. No comparison at all. You take a Y50. A Y50 is nowhere near as good as the original Y50.
No.
You have a job to create those, and it's also difficult for the actors who so badly want to do it and want to be the new Magnum, or it's very hard for them to create it, and I don't think it works very well at all. I really don't.
I agree with you, Wayne, and I think also it's almost a bit insulting to the original. It's like saying, well, this is your work, you spent your time doing, we'll throw this away, I'm going to start new now. And it's almost like discarding discarding all those years of brilliant TV or films, whatever it might be. Whereas I suppose Doctor Who is the only thing where it's the same continuity, so you're not.
You see, but Doctor Who moves with the time. The narrative on Doctor Who is its own story. It goes from one week to another, from one year to another, to one, right the way through the years, and we followed it. So no matter who you put in to play the Doctor, you create a new character, and you're creating a new series virtually every time. It's brilliant.
Oh, it's a very clever concept, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that will never go out of date because you're updating it every week. You know, and you're updating it every time you bring the change in a Doctor as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one of the exceptions.
Oh yeah, and I suppose Star Trek might be the other one where you've got the same continuity, but you're changing it.
Exactly. That works perfectly well. That works perfectly well.
We've got a nice comment from Cynthia. I'll just read out. She said she loved The Return of the Man from U.N.C.L.E. when she first saw it, and loves it to this day. I thoroughly enjoyed meeting you all. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for the movie and for tonight. You were all gentlemen. Thank
you very much. Bless you. Be safe.
Ian McCallum says, yes, I enjoyed it. Ian Ogilvy was originally going to be Simon Templar's son in the Saint remake. Well, that was interesting. Yes, because he's in that with Roger Moore, isn't he? The one that didn't work. Kay Douglas has said, thank you, Philip and Ray, for doing this webinar. Keep them coming. You're fantastic. I'm your biggest fan. Love, Catherine from Keswick, VA.
Oh, that's very nice of Catherine. Thank you, Catherine, and Richard, I'm sure.
And Ian Fry agrees with you that the new Saint was awful. He said he watched it the other week.
Yeah, I think, Ian, did they just call it the Saint?
I'll wait for him to, I'm sure he'll reply in a second. Ian did say that, the other Ian McCallum said the new version did not make the TV. There was also Simon Dutton's Saint, which I don't think you saw. I think I did see it pop up on Netflix, actually. I think it's just called The Saint, yeah.
Well, I did The Saint and the Return of the Saint, and the Return of the Saint was Ian Ogilvy, which was excellent, and Ian Ogilvy was excellent with it, and I'm just surprised it never went on and on and on. But
yeah,
there you go. But the other one definitely never cut it at all, sadly.
No, afraid not. Joe says you're a total legend, Dad! ! And Ian McCallum says many thanks for the evening, Ray and Philip. A great evening's viewing. So
okay, bless you all. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. And appreciate that you remember these shows because they are good shows.
Well, yeah, we love them, Ray, and always will. Well, thank you for spending so much of your time this evening, your afternoon, with us. It's been wonderful to chat with you about this wonderful show, and I suppose I should do whatever expecting me to say thank you to the United Network Command and Law Enforcement for their help for producing this evening, because that was always on the end of the TV shows, wasn't it? A little thank you to the made-up organisation. I thought was always quite a fun thing. So thank you, Ray, for joining us. We had a wonderful evening, and maybe we'll talk again soon. So take care and all the best.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Sleep tight. Be safe. Bye.
Bye.